you with the Let me hit you with the Yo, let me hit you with the bleed blue. Let me hit you with the
And what you did to me made me double take it right on my teeth. Had me burning in the third degree. Made me rip off the heart on my sleeve. I don't know if I can stand another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing apart from the weight. My mind, I can plead my sanity. You're my enemy. You're my enemy. Wait, my mind, I can plead my sanity. You're my enemy. I feel like my life is passing me by. 40 years and 7 months of true crime. Money's off the top of the house in real time. Follow me into water where we will find love. Made me double take it right on my teeth. Had me burning in the third degree. Made me rip off the heart on my sleeve. I don't know if I can stand another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing apart from the weight. My mind, I can plead my sanity. You're my enemy. You're my enemy. Wait, my mind, I can plead my sanity. You're my enemy. Oh, then you were gone. comes from nowhere, makes you wonder if you lost control, leaves you breathless, changes what you think is possible. Got me too. Brought me to you. It's got you too. Your magic's true. Your magic's true.
Dry those tears. We're back with more CRL action for week 3 of league play. Everything is as it should be. We have a ridiculous schedule back together, and we also have a wonderful cast along with me. It's Seb.Evadable Chicksa, and I, myself, your host, Danger Taco. And I just couldn't be happier. Guys, how are you feeling for this week of action?
I'm actually so excited. One, we get 2 double headers back to back. I get to cast a St. Clair series. That's going to be sweet. I'm so ready, guys. I got my Rocket League esports socks on.
There we go.
Because properly ready for this one. Oh, I'll show them off. Yeah, dude. Check these out.
Reveal.
Got these at Worlds, man. Pretty sweet. No, we're all super pumped. I just wanted an excuse to show those off on stream. Honestly, they're really nice. But no, I'm super excited. I think we have a lot of really great matches today, and a lot of, I think, stakes on the line for these teams.
A lot of stuff going on with all the rosters and all the mania that's been happening. Again, this is the second to last week that we have going on these double headers with arguably our top 2 teams that we have now in the CRL. We'll see who is able to rise to the challenge at the end of it.
Yeah, I think this is some of the most loaded matches today. 4 being 4 in a row. We get to see some of our higher teams, on our rankings list that has been highly debated and back and forth. We've had so many upsets, so many teams try to claim that #1 spot, and I think one team may be able to today. I'm also really excited to cast with Vod and Seb because we don't get to that often, so I get both of them today.
It's been good, yeah.
Yeah, they were able to trick me into falling into the host gulag, so now I'm going to be behind those metaphorical bars for today. But at the very least, before we get into the action, let's remind everybody of the format that we're dealing with within CRL. So this is the overview for Fall 2025. We had our open qualifiers. We are in currently League Play Split 1. That is concurrent with the Opens. Pretty much the best of the rest are playing in those open brackets in 6 different pools, gathering points to eventually qualify for the top 8 in that closed qualifier. The bottom half of our League Play teams will join them there at a chance to either retain their spot or potentially lose it out to everyone else for League Play Split 2, which eventually will, yes, lead up to our Fall Championship in the late November date of 2025. 3. So with that said, going into all of that with seeing all these different things, we have to keep an eye obviously on league play. That's what this broadcast is for, but we also do have the opens coming up. Seb, walking us through, kind of talking through all these opens and all the shenanigans we've seen. We have our Open 2 winners. How does that really affect things going forward?
I mean, honestly, the main, as far as the leaderboard that we're seeing, it has not changed incredibly. It's just been Ball State, Davenport, Kennesaw, and Fisher who have been holding down the top line, all with 10, and then Fisher with 8 points respectively, along with St. Edwards. But the main thing that we have here, which I'm going to try and keep it myself very calm, Taco, is that St. Clair Gold was able to win a bracket with Indiana Tech in it. Somehow, St. Clair Gold, which is like the B squad for St. Clair Green, was able to make it through and make that run incredible. That puts them at least somewhat within the running. They're still in 10th place. It's a lot to go, but there's one more open left to try and assert themselves. In the meantime, it's at the moment all Ball State, Davenport, Kennesaw.
And so with that said, therefore, this is Open 2. It builds into the points from Open 1. And so here are our overall standings for the Opens so far, Vod.
Yeah, a lot going on. Really only 3 teams that have clinched things so far. Those are those squads with 10 points. And again, looking at the other teams that have had some consistency, Fisher, St. Edwards. St. Edwards, they played the longest all the way until 1 a.m. on Wednesday. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win their bracket because Syracuse just looked really good during their showings that we saw so far. Akron Zips Blue, they've been playing with a sub, but they're still in the conversation, which just kind of goes to show the depth of that roster. Indiana Tech, we talked about it. They should have won that bracket, but unfortunately, they're now going to have to be at odds with Michigan State Green, St. Clair Gold, even Burros Blancos, the team from Mexico, making their statements known, and a lot of other great teams still in the running for that top 8. And it's all going to be decided this Wednesday. It's going to be great.
Vod, you're hitting the funeral bell on Akron Blue. My goodness, that was so harsh.
I mean, they're playing with a sub again, supposedly, this Open as well. So it could be guaranteed if they get far enough, but that's going to be the beauty of these brackets. Once they come out, that'll decide everything.
Also need to point out real quick that St. Clair did in fact win their pool with a sub. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Davenport in Open 1 also won their pool with a sub. So anything is possible in that regard. And these are the teams obviously vying to get into our League Play Split 2. But we got to focus at least on League Play Split 1 for right now, Chicksa. And this is where it's currently standing coming into today's broadcast.
Yeah, not a single team undefeated. It's what we talked about at length of it being so highly contested. Every team has had that kind of back and forth. Just when we think Winthrop untouchable, they still fall. WVU has had such good looks at times, and Northwood, we doubted them last week. They proved us wrong. We see them today. There's a lot on the line for our top 4. As for St. Clair, they're near the end of their league play. So with that being said, they have not as many games as everyone else does thus far to make it up the line. That differential is, I think, going to prove very important at the end of the day, because that right now is what's splitting our teams into being in that top 4.
Yeah, particularly when we do talk about league play, Chad, it's really important to realize that this is single round robin. So this is not like other leagues where you play teams multiple times and then you kind of get a more granular look at, okay, who's beating who out, who's able to get the game differential. No, you get one shot, and if you don't make it count, then you're going to have to deal with an awkward record, which is exactly kind of what we're looking at. We're going to get a lot of answers about potentially where teams are going to fall heading into our final week of broadcast. But at least for week 3, where we are right now, this is how it looks. And honestly, I'm a fan of how everything's going down, but hey, I'm a huge fan of this broadcast schedule. We got back-to-back double headers, starting off with Northwood in West Virginia, a classic matchup within the East, or back when we really did have regions. Northwood and St. Clair representing their respective countries, probably one of the more storied programs we're going to be able to see there. Cumberland matched up with Winthrop. I think a team kind of falling off momentum and another team trying to regain and show that they're the best in Winthrop. And then finally, potentially the most consequential game out of any of these, Concord, bottom of the table, trying to basically reverse sweep the league play, try to get back into the good graces of that top 4 up against big, bad Winthrop. I mean, from each of us looking through the schedule, I mean, there's a lot of danger going on here. I mean, particularly VOD, like what match stands out to you as really the one to watch for any casual fans looking to get engaged?
It's tough because all these matches matter so much. I mean, Cumberland and St. Clair, if they both lose their series in the same fashion, Cumberland will kind of have the edge over top of them based on that game differential, which is oh so important in terms of tiebreakers. But on the other side of things, looking at Winthrop and Northwood, both of them playing doubleheaders, this is kind of the fight for the top of CRO League play. They want the grand prize that they can get for Split 1 and take that number 1 spot going into Split 2 and say, hey, we're the best team in Collegiate Rocket League. Northwood said they're the kings of CRL, but these are the matches for them to determine if that's going to be the case.
And I think a lot of being able to get into these matches are talking about really, well, what are the permutations of the graphics? Where are we actually going to be able to wind up? I'm not sure, because that's really what League play has all been about. We have a lot of moments where a lot of us are basically at 50% prediction success. I think Novanta's the only one that is above 50, just
I think
because.
I'm still negative, to be honest.
Exactly, and that's just how it's going to have to be. So at the very least, yes, this is our match schedule, but we have to start somewhere, so might as well start with Northwood, West Virginia. This is where we're going to be able to really start to etch out how good West Virginia is, and also kind of adjudicate Northwood. Yeah, you beat Winthrop. Is that a fluke? Is it a bad game? Or are you really just that good? Chixa, take us through these lineups.
Of course, we know these. We know these lineups so well. Northwood, Creams, Hockey, Zanil. I said of all of the teams that we see in League Split and even in the Opens, this one has its most history together at this point. Northwood, of course, as a school, we always mention is that legacy and the fact that they have just been time after time always so good in CRL. But it's nice to have that chemistry with the team. They even said they're still adjusting with one another and adjusting to the new level of play that we've seen. And, you know, a lot of the more historied players that are now in CRL, they have to make those adjustments. One being on the other side of the field in Gyro, they have to realize and adjust that Toolmat and Gyro have a different feel than with Angel, which we had saw previously on the WVU team. And now that being said, Angel has done really well stepping into that coaching role, and it's something that WVU as a team really enjoys and allows themselves to adapt to. I'm excited to see what the two will do back and forth, because both have kind of won and lost to a different team, and we can't really use that distributive property that we like to say who's on top. It's personal preference at this point, and they're going to make themselves known who is the top of these two.
Yeah, and going into this, I mean, yes, Hockey with the stash, that has elevated them a little bit, at least against Winthrop. I'm a huge fan.
So Hockey.
I'm also a big fan of players being able to actually show off the mustache. I gotta say, RLCS, you're lagging a little bit behind. A lot of caterpillar, little like whisker peach fuzz on the top lip. You just gotta shave it until it comes in like our man Hockey. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's not just about facial hair. It's about actually playing on the field. Who would have thought in CRL that it does come down to not your facial hair? But either way, coming into this game, and we talk about Northwood and West Virginia, we have our favorites, we have momentum, but we also have a brand new semester filled with ups and downs and just a lot of weird shenanigans going down. So therefore, we have to talk about what we personally believe will actually be the result at the end of this best of 5. Seb, we're talking about Northwood and West Virginia. We know how good these two teams are nowadays, but what do you feel is going to happen within this best of 5?
Here's the thing is that there's two lines of thought. I got my heart and then I got my head, right? My head says that WVU wins this. I think that they've been more consistent. I think that this is probably the best version of WVU we've ever seen since that Summer Series win so long ago now. But my heart says Northwood. My heart says that a late league play Northwood is one of the most unstoppable teams that you will run into in any year in CRL history. I'm taking Northwood all the way. I'll leave series score till later.
Well, after one of the series, the Winthrop series.
I'm already negative right now. I don't want to make myself.
It's fine, yeah. After the Winthrop series, Northwood was able to send Creams for an interview, and he says that ultimately we win that series because Northwood owns CRL. It is their school's league.
Man.
It is. It's
so
quite the
hard.
quote. But Vaudeville, is there some credence to that? What's your cat think as well?
That's a good question. What do you think, Kat? We'll see what they have for the answer. They're not wanting to talk too much right now. This is Mika, by the way. But instead, I have to talk here, and the big thing that I'm saying is that Northwood, they have only lost a single series, and yes, it was a 3-1 victory, but every single game was 1-goal games. They have game differential potential to make up here. I think this is the team to do it against because, again, in outside leagues, we got to talk a little bit about them. WVU have been struggling a little bit. They went to 5 against a team in LCU. They lost to Baylor in NACE, and then they had to reverse sweep St. Clair to get to a victory there. They are looking a little shaky in comparison. CRL, different story, but I think Northwood, as you talked about, Seb, have that bounce back potential.
I just can't stop staring at your cat.
It's fair enough. And honestly, we have to make sure, actually, maybe not stare at Mika, but we can stare, or at least glance toward Chixa as she's able to see. Are we actually just going to keep on going? Is it going to be blue up there for all of our casting talent?
So funny enough, I was the one who did the Creams interview last week. I got a bunch of those quotes out of Creams. He was a very great interviewer. And with that being said, I went against them last week, and I'm going to go against them again. I think WVU has the opportunity to win out in this one. I know it's dangerous to go against Northwood. Northwood tends to prove us wrong every time we choose against them. It's why you thus far have picked them, even if your head supposedly, Seb, says otherwise. But with that being said, I think WVU has some really great chemistry and look, and it's adjustment for Northwood that they'll have to do throughout the series if they hope to go against it. This isn't your typical CRL team. This is a very different roster that has some of that history, has some of that, potential that we've seen from previous RLCS. So I like the mix of that leadership in WVU.
I think that's perfectly valid. And for that, I mean, I have the things that come from my gut, but I also have Slew in my DMs threatening me, saying you better pick our school. And therefore, I'm going to have to go with my heart and also just my self-preservation instinct, choosing Northwood for this one. I think WVU is the best we've ever seen them, but that series against Winthrop, yes, it was close margins for Northwood, but ultimately, I do have to say there's also a lot of really good midfield play. I love how Northwood look. I think they're going to continue it into this week. So we have 3-1 favoring Northwood, which is pretty typical, I feel like, for what we normally do see out of a squad like this. So after all of this, it's not about talking, it's about actually getting it done. A broadcast should always start off with fireworks, and so here we are. West Virginia and Northwood, a classic matchup in the East, and it's better than ever this fall. It's week 3 of CRL. It's time to make a statement. Let's get it!
A team full of confidence, always knowing the right thing to say and always proving us wrong when we decide against them. Against a team that we mainly predicted against all odds. Northwood, WVU, two phenomenally stacked rosters start off our day today. A very highly contested day in our league split one. Vaudeville, how are you feeling about this one?
I'm feeling pretty good. Both these teams at the top of the table, and they're looking to stay there and secure their spot in the history books for bringing league play back to CRL. They need to make it directly into Split 2. They do not want to have to play through those closed qualifiers, so we'll have to see exactly how it goes down for both of these teams. This game one going to be crucial, but also winning in style, getting a sweep for both of these teams would pretty much cement themselves in the top echelon for the rest of the semester.
Yeah, we talked a lot about game differential, especially when we don't have a team that is truly undefeated at this point. That's where game differential really shows how important it is. I think Zanil may have actually deflected that one away off the doink. It's a missed opportunity by Northwood, who is still pushing. Lots of fireworks to start off in this one. We've had a couple of close opportunities, but nothing that has been dangerous enough to be on the mark. Not enough boost for Matt to get back to that one. And it's a retreat for both teams. They test the waters a minute down in our first game, and thus far, no one able to get past that mark.
It just really goes to show the respect both these teams have for each other's rosters. I mean, a lot of teams were talking about West Virginia, that they were in rarefied air when they were playing against them. They knew how strong this team was, especially with Gyro in the driver's seat for the squad as kind of the captain and angel behind them, giving them all the advice that they need, saying that they're like the perfect coach for the squad that they are looking for. And it's had the evidence been shown so far throughout this split, but they need to put up those words as best they can with some results against this Northwood roster, who is on a hot streak after taking down Winthrop, who were the #1 team in the region.
Yeah, a very close series that we got to see last week in that regard. This one from Gyro to Tool doesn't fit. Matt also committing, so Tool will have to try to cut Hockey off, who picks up that 100 boost, has a nice touch off the wall, able to get past one, but is demoed for his efforts. Zanil's still there. Do we see a crash from Creams? Matt on the miss has an opportunity, and Creams, patient, wins on that one.
Huge for Creams, but that was all orchestrated by Zanil. Made sure Gyro couldn't even get back in time to make the save fully. They second-guessed their trajectory towards the ball, and simple shot from Creams, slow into the net. All that was needed to put it on target and get that first goal. Game ones have always been a struggle for Northwood. Nice to see that they aren't struggling here.
Yeah, a mistake there by Matt, and that gets penalized as expected for a team like Northwood. A bump here by Creams. Hockey comes in just a little too late, but trying their best to make their own opportunities. It's a great look that they are putting on the pressure. Great contest there, but Zanil in midfield gets contested early. Gyro Tool both on the back wall, but Tool wins that 50, extends upfield, gets the 50 there as well, and two go off the backboard, but successfully thwart off some of that offensive pressure from WVU.
A great first half look here from Northwood, and maybe a bit more to desire from WVU, especially with the pressure that's being applied against them. They are getting some saves to the side and trying to deflect things as best as possible, but Northwood's been handling things as much as they can, especially when it gets to their half of the field. Gyro doing everything possible to just get this in an optimal position for their team. Try and go for a scoring chance. Matt with it right now, but they can't get the air dribble bump that they were looking for. Creams had that red a mile away.
That's a nice look and a good attempt, but again, not executed. Matt, quick touch there, maybe a little bit too hard, probably wanted to take time. Gyro beats out one. Tool tries to take time, but Zanil there on the back wall. Met first by Matt, who still tries to push it in. But the defense has been flawless by Northwood. They've managed to find ways to just stop each and every opportunity that WVU has brought down. Tool even there, the pass down to Matt, deflected again. This one, Gyro, no boost to work with, and again, Northwood finds the clear.
Plenty of shots coming in from both teams. West Virginia finally turning things around momentum-wise on offense for them to get some scoring opportunities. They just need to close one out here and now, right before the minute mark goes down. This would be the perfect time to strike and tie things up, but Northwood's not giving them the time of day. They've been stuck in their half for some time, but they're pretty comfortable. Yes, not much boost. Matt does steal it, so they have some more to work with going back to their side, but Hockey gets a bit of a breakaway and relieves some of that pressure.
Even there, Creams last back finds the touch. Hockey can't get to it. Creams tries to follow through. Tool taking time. Zanil slowing him down, allowing his defense to get back. And there comes the contest again to put it back on the WV half. Not much time left for WVU. They can still find the equalizer. A good push here from Matt. Can he get on the way down? But again, Creams to find the clear. Shot here for Tool just too far, even though that net looks seemingly open. And Gyro throws his car away and still can't find a touch. Just constantly pushing his Northwood. That one doesn't go on through, but time is quickly running out.
So many close games have been decided by a single goal for Northwood, but they don't have to worry about it here. It will be Creams scoring the finisher. 11 seconds left. Still a possibility for WVU, but this was a statement made by Northwood.
And Northwood managed to find the shot at the end, give themselves that little bit of buffer. Even after all that time on the defensive half, they managed to still get out and push forward through. Matt on the cheat, WVU trying to do a little bit of trickery, but it doesn't seem to go their way. Almost another shooting opportunity for Northwood, but time has run out in this best of 5. Northwood to start with game 1, and I think successfully controlled all aspects of that game as well.
Massive victory there for Northwood. They needed that to start off on the right foot, especially playing a doubleheader against two top schools in West Virginia and St. Clair, and Creams rising to the top, as you can see there. 2 goals on 2 shots. Plenty of pressure, though, applied by both Hockey and Zanil. And same on the other side. Tool, didn't get credit with shots, but that's because they were the playmaker. They were setting everything up for Gyro and Matt to put shots on target. Did everything that they can to try and clear out the net, but it was just a gridlock right in front of the box, and nothing that West Virginia could do was working.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching Northwood play their defensive stands. Of course, it seemed like all things fell apart when Matt missed that touch off the backboard. Northwood got all momentum, was able to hold WVU on every opportunity. Gyro, a very quiet game for him, just didn't have the impact that we normally see. And then we saw the pressure really get to WVU by the end. They knew they needed a goal, so they started throwing themselves just at that ball without finding the contact that was needed to follow through.
We'll see what is going to change here for WVU. I know when they were talking in the interview before, when we heard from their team that they're like, okay, we know that the 60 seconds or even less that we have in between games is usually enough to change things up a bit and get things rocking for the next game. So we'll see what those adjustments are going to be for WVU. I think the big thing, a bit more aggression. We didn't see any bumps, not many demos. They tried to go for some of it, but there was already 2 players on the defensive line. If they can take out a third of them, they'd be looking a lot more clear at a goal opportunity for them going forward.
See what happens in game number 2. A huge pivot point if WVU is able to get back in. If not, Northwood, you're right on that game differential, could just be knocking at the door of a sweep if they hold on to everything that they've been showing us thus far. But for starters, game 2, Northwood starting off with some offensive pressure and already a shot by Zanil himself.
That's the pressure we're looking for Northwood if they do want to come out on top, but they need someone to be there in the middle of the box to sink things into the back of the net. Tool, as wise as they can be, making sure that they were prepared for anything headed towards them, and Matt just needs the double tap for their first goal.
Oh, I want this replay so bad. Zoom in on it. Matt has been doing his best to get into the air, gets it off the backboard and follows through. Each and every touch so gentle to keep it close to him that he's able to follow through and make a play. What a start for WVU in game 2, especially early on in this one.
This is what Northwood has to worry about. The counterattacks, but not worry too much. They just win it out. No 50-50 needed. Creams just hits it off the back, and he's gotten every single goal for his team so far.
If there's someone who is going to answer WVU, it would be Creams. He said, okay, you want to do a double tap? I can do one too. Watch me. And that's exactly the vibe that you get from the Northwood side. It's amazing to see that we had such success from WVU to start off, and that's quickly already denied and goes back the other way. Quickly, we get to be neutral, and we see again who is going to put themselves in front in this one.
So that's the big question here. Which team will be able to get the next goal? And it's going to be the side of WVU. Defense is out the window. It's all about the passing plays.
Yeah, this one's just a fast break, and I don't think anyone was set. The challenge comes late as well, and Gyro has nobody to really worry about when he finds the pass in the midfield. Really phenomenal job by WVU to get back. Just when we really rewarded them all with such great defensive efforts in the last one. That's quickly changed, as we've already seen 3 goals in nearly the first minute of gameplay. It just shows you how much adjustment can be made so quickly, and Northwood just wasn't ready for that one.
This is the bounce back that was prophesized by the Angels, and here we see it from Matt right off the ceiling to the far corner. Can't be saved by the defense and goes up by 2. 100% goal participation as well from Matt. They are popping off in this game. That's exactly what WVU needed.
Yeah, that does not shock me in the slightest, but how this game is going is shocking me.
Wow.
Matt adds another one on, and Northwood just can't seem to find their footing.
They wanted the hat trick earlier on, but they're like, you know what? I'm going to give some credit to Gyro. Gyro's like, you got this one, buddy, and takes it forward. Matt with another one into the back of the net. Can't be stopped whatsoever. They are just a menace on offense. And you mentioned it. We talked about the defense, that we were expecting good things from Northwood. They are looking solid in game 1. They've struggled there before. Now this is a different kind of struggle bus that they're on.
Yeah, it's odd, and it changes so quickly throughout CRL how teams make the adjustments to style. What a way for Matt to again find the pre-jump, get off the ceiling, able to maintain that airspace so he can contest early. This one bounces away, but Gyro patiently waiting. There is in the air. Couldn't get the bump on Creams, although he tried. Zanil shot quick to it. Tool and Matt both back and have a lot of boost to work with. Tool off the ceiling, has hockey there. Fakes it or misses it. We'll see which he decides to say maybe later on. But for now, WVU just continuing to put up the pressure that they've had, burning that time. They can milk that 3-goal lead as long as they would like.
W also have more saves than they did in the last game, and it's not even at the halfway point. That was so close for another goal potential for Matt on that one, but instead goes by the wayside. And I think the focus on just going for the counterattack options by WVU has been boding well for them so far. They don't really need to change too much. They're already up by 3. The biggest thing that needs to change for Northwood is finding a way past this defensive line.
Yeah, Matt, again, taking it to the air, taking his time, looking for that bump, finds it on Cream. Zanil, low on boost, last back, manages to find the save, but continuing to play hard and aggressive is WVU. They have not let up the past 2 minutes or so. They are continuously contesting in the air, contesting on the ground, being in midfield, being an absolute nuisance to Northwood, but they haven't had a quality shot in quite some time. Not to mention the boost totals have certainly told a little bit of a story in this one. Every time I look at Northwood, the boost just maybe isn't there. In this case it was, but it bounces away. Gyro, a little bit of a wave dash, and manages to push that one in, and we go 1-5 in game 2 right now.
Almost every single goal in this game has been a counterattack, and just really goes to show that there's been a lack of midfield presence from Northwood. They go all in, leave everything out on the table, and unfortunately they keep getting robbed every time they try to go back to home base. They need to do something to close things up, because right now everything that's been building up from that game 1 win has just been dashed away with this confident victory that's now 6-1, getting towards that Brazil already.
Wow. You know, it's a statement. It's a statement that WU is making right now. You know, as much as we go back and forth, this is the reality of CRL right now. We can predict either way. Of course, all of us will end up going 50-50 or lower than 50 in our predictions. It's just so difficult to tell. And again, this is just one game. At the end of the day, Northwood doesn't have much of a chance to get back in this one. Can they still earn some momentum for themselves and do the same to WVU next game? It is entirely possible. They have to look forward and just finish playing out the rest of this one. WVU, though, the adjustments made, heard, seen, loud and clear that you are able to still match Northwood in this series in particular.
It just really goes to show the potential of this team, and just the heartbreak that Northwood fans are going through every time they go for a shot. It hits the woodworker. It's not quite on target as they would like to be, and everything's working out. It's just gold all the way through from the side of WVU, but we might have a chance here for a go-home goal into the next game for Northwood if they can get possession away from Tool. He's just taking it the distance. Gyro has this instead, almost dribbled in underneath the crossbar. Matt with a double tap does get denied off to the side, but that was so close for a 7th goal by WVU, which again, you talked about statements, this is the way to make it.
Oh, there's one there. Nice 50 off the corner and gives Northwood a little bit to think about. Hopefully that gives them a little more confidence, but one thing I know is that Northwood team, they always do well with the confidence. I'm not worried about that going into game number 3. I think I really enjoyed watching WVU in this one show their mechanics, show their aerial presence. Each and every time they go into the air, it is so confident. Every single time. Tool to Matt, and Matt gets another one for this. 5 of 8, a total of 7 for 13. WVU has just been stellar in the air.
This is exactly what we need to see for WVU after that close game 1. They showed that, hey, the ground game not working in our favor. We've been able to boost start them pretty decently, though, so let's play it high and away, and that's exactly what we've been witnessing so far. The counterattacks go into the air. There's not really much the other team can do. Yes, they do get a goal here, which is great for hockey to get on the board, because finally someone other than Creams is scoring goals for this team. But we need a little bit more where that came from Zanil and hockey the rest of the series if they want to come out on top.
A very high scoring series. We saw, no goals for WVU to 7? Yeah, that is quite an adjustment that has been made, and now time will hopefully run out here. You won't see another goal. Maybe. Who really knows between these teams?
Well, we do.
Oh my goodness. I thought there was no chance that was going on
in. You to
in.
eat your words is all it was. Especially Matt, who again has been a participant at least in almost every goal. Yes, that was a deflection in by Zanil. It was basically over at that point, but what a monumental just change in momentum that we see here from the side of WVU. All the way to the mountaintops. They were on the ground floor before. They climbed to the top and tied things up here 8-3, where it was 2-0 in the last one. Could have easily been 1-0 instead, but even then, everyone popped off, but specifically Matt getting those 5 goals and the assist that they were able to put on as well. Tool getting involved themselves too. This is the kind of synergy we expected from WVU in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've used about every word in the dictionary that we can to try to describe WVU in this one. You know, monumental, you know, just dominant, just continuously more and more impressive. They played the counter game. They won their 50s. They consistently made great touches in the air, and they just stunted Northwood at every attempt that Northwood could to try to defend or even try to move upfield. The boost game very heavily in their favor. It was just full dominance by WVU, and it just again shows how quickly things can change in a series in CRL right now.
It really just goes to show how awkward Northwood were throughout that second game too. They didn't feel as confident as we were talking about how they were in game 1, where they made that statement themselves, getting a shutout, so WVU weren't able to get anything from it, but it was still a lot closer than the actual scoreline told. This one, completely different ball game for them, but game 3 is another one on the dockets that's really going to come down to who might win this series. Will Northwood bounce back, or is WVU going to take this in stride as they did the last one?
That didn't look very coordinated, but you know what? That's okay. Things keep on moving. You're right. With a 1-1 series score right now, whoever gets on that match point first will certainly have advantage. Feel a little more confident. A couple of misses on that ball in midfield, and Matt ends up winning his 50 at the end of the day. But this will be a very interesting game 3. Will WVU continue the dominance? Will Northwood pop back off, show how well they can defend against attacks like we've seen before? Or is something entirely different possible? Who really knows?
I mean, the big thing too is like after a certain goal differential, it's kind of a wash for that game. You say GG go next in your head, and then you see, okay, what can we fix in the meantime while we're waiting for that clock to tick to 0? Now it comes down to, okay, this is where we implement things for Northwood and turn things back in our favor like we had them before. We realized, hey, we got to focus on prioritizing our boost consumption maybe a little bit more and securing our corner boost on our side when we are on defense. Also, maybe not going all in on offense every single time. That's why you see the individual plays coming out here, especially from Hockey. Now Zanil in the midfield trying to bait things out and see if there'll be a turnaround from Hockey.
Yeah, great challenges. Matt to turn on this one. He'll bounce in midfield. Unsure who gets to it first. Zanil, the slight touch, but the pop-up gets taken by Creams, who gets bumped. A double commit by Matt and Gyro may open things up. We don't stall long enough. That shot on target, but saved right where Gyro was waiting. Matt, no boost, wins his 50. He moves this one out into midfield. Also picks up that boost surprisingly as well, unable to do much with it. So this one gets popped back up, but a very quiet first 2 minutes of gameplay.
This bodes well for Northwood. They are the kings of the slow game from what we've seen. A lot of teams have had to play up to their speed before, but once they are able to have other teams play to their own pace, that is exactly where they are most comfortable, especially with Hockey having the ball here, trying to set things up for their team. Tools not having any of it. He's been the defensive mastermind and the playmaker, the man with a plan, as you could say, for WVU, but Hockey, they're going to also be trying to do what they can for Creams. They were the star of the show in Game 1, also most of Game 2 for their squad, getting the majority of the goals this series. If they can set them up, then that'll be exactly where they come out on top.
Of course, all eyes on Matt for WVU, who had an incredible amount of shooting and scoring opportunities in the last game. Can he do that again? Certainly he has been much more quiet as we're already halfway through this game 3. Time has went by so much quicker with the lack of goals. And thus far, only one team needs a opportunity. This one off the mark. Tool, not much boost to work with. Everybody's trying to pick up small pads as best as possible. But unfortunately, it seems like no one is getting very far. Matt in the air has the flip reset, uses it, gets it over, gets it underneath one as well. And Matt does rise to the occasion in game 3.
The most insane play we've seen so far today. Matt with the flip reset baits them out, hits it on the side of their car so that they don't expect the angle from it, and just somehow is able to part the blue sea and get through the back of the net there. Beautiful play by Matt. Gyro winning the kickoff, but it actually is a setup for Creams. Off the backboard, looking for the double tap. They can get the connection, but Gyro got the read instead.
Tool actually found that touch as well to find that save. Incredible effort for WVU, even off the setup. It was a great try by Northwood, but unfortunately, that one will go by the wave side. Hockey sends this one straight down, but again, the block is there, and Cream's just up a little too far. Will have to retreat all the way into his half. An early contest, Gyro up as well. That 50 will go on through. Only one player back into Cream's up the crossbar, and as much as Northwood tries, they still can't find the goal they need.
Luck has not been on the side of Northwood so far today. Game one was hard fought. Had to fight tooth and nail to get that one through. And right now, they are just hoping for a chance, a goal-scoring opportunity that has been missing for some time, almost 5 minutes now. They had their best opportunity there, went by the wayside again. Hockey, though, after the demos come through, looking for the drop down right in front of Creams, but it can't get the connections. And Neil's there on the fall through, but Matt's just a bit faster. Counterattack comes through, but nobody's there to finish up.
Okay, nobody has boost for Northwood. Creams just sends it away, but Matt in the air again gets one flip. Doesn't have much more to follow through, and Tool will continue pushing it forward. Gyro now to the side wall. The read is not met. This one bouncing dangerously on target, but Zeniel is there to just get in the way. Cut here for Tool. This one to Hockey, and Hockey can't find anything on target and doesn't have a teammate to pass through either. 15 seconds left. The ball is on the right side of the field for Northwood, but they just don't seem to have the boost to get it much farther than that. This one from Hockey misses the ball, and that may have been the missed opportunity.
I think they were just getting called off a little bit by Creams there as well, but it was a too late scenario for them to come back on it. Creams last second chance to touch it down. It will be the defense going for it instead. And Matt, again, MVP performance from them, but the entire WU roster is the reason why they're coming out on top. Again, we saw some good looks from Northwood when they're going for conserving their boost as long as possible, slowing things down. It looked well, and then they ran out of everything. Northwood, they wanted to be the kings of CRL so bad, then realized that West Virginia, they have the higher ground, and they are going to take it to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, very different story. We had an 11-goal game to a 1-goal game at the end of the day. And unfortunately, you know, Northwood had the more amount of shots. They had 5 that game, but only 3 needed to be saved. Of course, we saw those 2 ring off the crossbar for Northwood, so they just couldn't find that shot that they finally needed. The accuracy needed to be just that much better, and it could have been a very different scenario, but WVU hold on. Again, the boost has played a major part in all of these series. It's so important to retain boost control, and Northwood needs to do better about not everybody pushing up, especially while everyone's low on boost.
They were for half the game. Then they started realizing, hey, we don't have much time left. We kind of have to go all in, and they went bankrupt at the end of it there. So now we'll see if they can buy themselves back in a chance to make it to that game 5, or if it's going to be WVU taking the house and going the distance with it to basically secure their spot in the top 4. If WVU get this confidently in a 3-1 fashion, they seem to be untouchable aside from Winthrop at this point.
Yeah, it's again, a very important scenario for both of these teams nearing the end of League Split 1. Every game matters, not to mention every series, of course, matters. But we're getting to the point where each of these games could be your make or break point for securing yourself into next split. So at this point, a lot of pressure for both of these teams. You obviously see they're talking it through. They're taking those deep breaths, trying to calm themselves, ground themselves, because this is a very important game 4. It could decide if WVU wins this series, moves on forward, or Northwood will fight for yet another game 5 in CRL.
We've seen many of those during last week's competition. Wouldn't be so surprised to see it here. It doesn't bode well for game differential, but doesn't matter if they can get that first goal. Denied, though, by the defense. Tool, always a thorn in the side of the other competition that we are seeing from Northwood. Hockey, though, going for a second attack, and they do get the drop down, but it's not accurate enough again.
Missed opportunity, and just like that, WVU have some boost to work with and pressure. Creams, great challenge. I think a car change as well into that Octane, maybe looking for a different feel. Tool, even on 0 boost, able to beat one. That touch isn't too great. Matt over to Gyro, but the pass just a little bit too far forward, so no shot will come out of that. A good 50 Tool will turn, not much boost to work with, but still, being a pest, showing the presence, and Matt safely back to send this into the corner.
Already so much offense from Northwood, but they are taking their time as much as they can, being a lot carefuler. But as I say that, they went for the air dribble passing play at midfield, and it didn't work out as well as they were hoping it would. Matt, with potential possession, does get denied, though, by the defense. Tool has a chance here yet again, but Creams deflecting it away into the midfield. Zanil has the flip reset, had to go for it. Maybe a bit of a fake there. Didn't have the boost to really keep it going towards the net. At least getting it set up for their teammates on the wing, but still not enough from either side to get that first goal.
Hockey up to this one, sends it straight down, doesn't have the angle for it to be on target, and Tool losing his air control, has to go down. Zanil just popping it up. Hockey will send it into the corner. Looking again, winning that 50. Matt sends it back, doesn't have another touch. This one on target, but Gyro keeping it close. Sends it up in front of him. Zanil again, Gyro up. Can he deflect it further? Rolling off the corner. Hockey gets there first. Tool the double commit. Two of them was there. This one sent away. Another double commit. Nobody there for WVU though to find a way to shoot that one on.
That was a great deflection again by Gyro. Lost the 50, but in the position that they needed to be to go back to their own corner and not be in a threatening chance for Northwood, as Zanil threatened a bit too much there. We saw the bump on the back line for their other teammate. They're able to bob and weave just enough to get the save, but these last-ditch efforts from Northwood are only going to hold for so long.
Yeah, this one dangerously down in front. Cream's able to send away. Tool doesn't go for it. On top of one another, and another double commit made on the defensive end. Nobody wants to give up that first goal. We saw how important just one goal can be in the last game. Zanil no boost to work with again, and Gyro has the opportunity to send it away, has the flip reset, sends it over one. Matt on the demo, but Hockey back. This one to Zanil, straight down. He gets it back, misses it though. The fake out's real because Hockey ends up putting it on through.
These are the kind of plays we were waiting to witness from Northwood, and now they have arrived. The defense none the wiser as Hockey sneaks underneath their noses for the first goal and the first lead we have seen it since game one.
Oh, phenomenal play. The trickery is what's needed to make things going. Gyro full boost though, right off kickoff off the ceiling, sends it down. Creams has some boost to work with, gets 50. Tool trying to play it off the sidewall. Matt shot perfectly placed. The answer for WVU, just that quick.
We saw kind of a mirror of this before in game two, where Creams was able to bounce back after Matt got the opening goal. Now it's a different story. Instead, WVU said, hey, what you can do, I can do just as easily. Now it comes down to the fight for that last goal, or even more so, some cushion for these teams that we haven't witnessed since game two. We need to see a little bit more from both squads to secure the victory.
Bump tries to go on through, but Creams is there already. Gets the shot on. Saved though at the last second, and the 50 is all that could be made of it. Hockey to the skies. Gets it down underneath. Tool to send it back away. Dangerous scenario right now of Audible. Both these teams have just seemed to throw themselves at the ball, not have much boost to work with in the air. The aerial game has been everything, and Zanil's deflection isn't on target either.
Oh, didn't have the protractor ready for that one. The angle was not sharp enough for the goal. It was perfectly intended, just not locked in as well as they would have hoped it to be. And that seems to be the case that keeps plaguing Northwood, is that their accuracy has just diminished since game one. They've been able to have shots on target deflected away as best as possible, but in the moments that matter most, they have not been able to clutch it up. We'll see what happens here though. Nobody in position. Hockey goes for the touch into the corner. We'll see if they can make anything out of it.
Again, a little bit too clustered up is WVU, but no one to take advantage of it on Northwood. Gyro sends this one away. Creams cutting, sending it high, will get contested. This gets sent the other way, but Hockey is there. Creams not much boost to work with, just decides to wait patiently for it. Does get a little bit of a touch, but again, gets beat. And Hockey misses the touch in midfield. Tool is a blocker. Can Matt find the touch? But Cream still gets back in time. 5 seconds left on the clock. The clear all the way towards the other end. And dare I say, we get overtime in game 4.
this is the most important overtime of Northwood's split. They need this victory here. They need the game differential in their favor. That could have been it, but it was right directly into the goalkeeper. First 10 seconds as eventful as you would hope. But WVU, they're going to be taking their time, waiting for their chance to strike, lying like as much as they can in wait for their chance to just take it away from Northwood, who said themselves during your interview, Chicksa, that they own CRL. Well, unfortunately, they might have been evicted if WVU come out on top, but they look to do it just here. Gyro gets the game-winning goal for the victory.
What a shot by Gyro. Manages to look at, the craziest redirect possible, but it goes into Hockey's car himself, and he deflects it in on what seemingly is an own goal. Heartbreak for Northwood. Even after winning game 1, WVU bounces back, wins this one in overtime, wins the series, and secures himself, I think, maybe at the top of that 4 that's needed for League Split 1. I mean, incredible effort by WVU. As soon as they got that little bit of momentum, they worked with it. They fought for it. They continued to push on forward, and they won the close games just as much as they won those blowouts.
I don't think this was necessarily like Northwood faltering too much. I think it was just West Virginia reading them like a book. They've played against this Northwood squad so many times before. There is so much footage and replays that you can review against this team. They've been in CRL for quite some time, and West Virginia's like, okay, bet, I got this, and made it as much as they can. A difficult journey for Northwood to even get a single goal every single game, and eventually they were able to come out on top because of it. Forced the issue, had solid enough defense, took the boost when they needed to, and just made Northwood awkward the entire series. Even when they got the game 1 victory, it wasn't as confident as they were hoping it would be.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the adaptation by WVU. It felt like Gyro took on more of an assisting role, and he let Matt do most of that work upfield and really show that pressure. And Tool, we mentioned how many times, was so good defensively. They all found their place in this series and made the most of it. I enjoyed watching them very much so, and also being the only one correct. I gotta say
That's true.
it.
That's true. You were the only one correct with the predictions. The rest of us weren't really as stoked as we could be going into this one, but WVU have proven themselves. They have pretty much locked it in. We'll see the actual work going on through the background at the end of the show, but they are cementing themselves as one of the top teams in Collegiate Rocket League, and we'll see if they can continue to do that. But we do have to take a bit of a break. We'll be back with an interview with the winners after this.
Get the speaker box loud. We coming straight to your stereo. thought I'd hear your voice again, and now you're taking up my mind. One spark to ignite the flame, and then it happens all the time. And I'm feeling every little thing you say to me. Wanna wake up and ditch the city. Break out, these walls are caving in, and you're a tidal wave. Yeah, take me back when you said we can do this until we're dead. Just a little bit farther, we're breathing underwater. I'm keeping your heartbeat like a drum. We can be kids out on the run. There's nothing better, I'm just glad we're young together. Dance with your silhouette. Tell me where you wanna go. Your smile's looking dangerous, and I can feel the afterglow. I'm believing every little thing inside of me, spinning you around until we're dizzy. Caught up like a boat in a hurricane, and you're a tidal wave. Yeah, take me back when you said we can do this until we're dead. Just a little bit farther, we're breathing underwater. I'm keeping your heartbeat like a drum. We can be kids out on the run. There's nothing better, I'm just glad we're young together. I'm just glad we're young together. Take me back when you said there's nothing better. No oxygen, if we do it like this will never end. And your heart beats like a drum. Now I'm glad we're young. Yeah, take me back when you said we can do this until we're dead. Just a little bit farther, we're breathing underwater. I'm keeping your heartbeat like a drum. We can be kids out on the run. There's nothing better, I'm just glad we're young together.
Dude, man, you balled out today, brother.
Yeah, feeling good today. Feeling really good.
Well, you just beat Northwood, who it's a opponent you have historically struggled against. But this is a season in which WVU looks revitalized. I think it's safe to say this is the best that WVU has looked, at least since your tenure on the team back when you guys won Summer Series way back when. How are you guys feeling that this is like the best that you have ever been?
We're feeling really good. We've been going through replays and stuff, kind of getting everything down. But by far the most work sense, I would say, around Summer Series, and it feels good to finally see it pay off.
Now, I think since the previous season to now, I think the previous season you guys had a bit of a reputation as a bit of chokers, struggling in bracket. Like, I'll be real, it's fine.
Yeah.
But do you guys feel like you're shaking off that banner? Like, where do you think? Why do you think people still might have those reservations with you? Do you guys think you're finally shaking that off?
I just don't think we've been doing it for long enough. Like, we're being really consistent this fall, but obviously in the past it makes people doubt, and I see that on Twitter with the power rankings and stuff. I think how we do in the fall championship is really gonna solidify people's minds if we're that team or not.
Are you calling out any power rank in particular?
Ooh, I don't know. I might be. Wow. Seb.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'll recover from that one. Okay. It's fine. Listen, I'll make some adjustments next
That's
week.
what I want to see. Yeah.
All right. So you have 2 matchups left, right? One of them being, I believe it is Cumberland, if I'm correct in saying.
We played Cumberland.
Yes.
I think it's
Or, sorry.
Baylor. It's Baylor and Concord.
Yes. Okay. Right. So with Baylor and Concord, how are you feeling with those last 2 matchups? And specifically with Split 2 coming up, I think it's relatively, knock on wood, obviously, safe to say you guys are going to make Split 2. Is there anyone that you're feeling, that's outside currently of CRL that could actually be dangerous for this next split?
Yeah, so we played Syracuse when we qualified for CRL, and they were really solid. And I see on Twitter they're putting in a ton of work, getting better, and they're improving really quick. I think Syracuse, obviously, I'm around Syracuse too, so I'm a fan. I think they're a team to watch out for coming up on the Split 2. I think Akron is another one too. They have a lot of potential. There's a few others too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, dude, any last words before we head out, specifically to the rest of the field as finally, the second split approaches?
Yeah, I just want to shout out my team, honestly. They're putting in the work, paying off, and we're feeling good.
Sweet. Are they still around?
Yeah, they're next to me.
Oh, the boys. I heard you immediately wanted to throw Gyro into an interview. We're like, all right, well, you do that, we're going to put you into the interview.
He loves doing them, right? He loves doing them.
He does. All right, man. Well, congratulations, and good luck on your next set of matches.
Thank you so much, bud.
What a nice lad. What a nice lad. Also, balled out, boys.
Yeah, and being able to also, of course, pay our respect to Chicksa, the only one bold enough to say West Virginia is going to be able to get that dub. And I have to say, looking back, we really should have been a bit more confident. Northwood's good, but West Virginia, they are on another level, especially Matt. 5 goals in what we're watching right now in this game, too. And even beyond that, everyone was popping off on.
Yeah, they were doing insanely well. I mean, again, kudos to Chicksa for getting that prediction correctly, and really just goes to show how West Virginia have elevated their play through semesters, and having Angel take a step back, going into that coaching role. And we talked about the adjustment between game 1 and 2. They said Angel is perfect at doing that for them, tells them everything they need to know in just 30 seconds of time, and they can get set up for success after that. And that's exactly what we saw. Success, and success. Nothing had changed for them. Lost the first game in a close affair, and then kind of took everything else in stride.
I think it's hard to really quantify how consistent teams have to be in this era because they're playing in several different leagues. You're also playing every Sunday, and you have some semblance of preparation coming in because sometimes you don't really know your schedule in advance. Sometimes things shift around. But for the most part, in CRL, everyone knows, especially if you're on broadcast, this is the time you're playing. This is when you're playing. Schedule your scrims, get it all in. And there's so much that goes into that. But I think you touched on a great point, Vod. Angel really turning around, going from player to coach. Not an easy transition for a lot of players to make. But when at least Chicksa, we talk about that. I think that's really going to propel that team forward. So being able to touch on that, I think we also have to maybe talk about Northwood, because that is also another team we're going to be seeing very shortly. And they don't have a lot of time to turn around. They have about 5 minutes before they're able to get the next game. What do you feel like has to be at the forefront of their minds?
Yeah, I think it needs to be the goldfish sort of memory is what I like to call it. It's just it's a quick refresh, reset. It's a new series, it's a new game, it's an entirely new opponent. You have to change to each and every opponent that you get down the line in CRL right now. They're going to act entirely differently. They're going to play differently. We know the mechanics are entirely different. If St. Clair was watching, obviously they might take some notes out of WVU's book. So Northwood has to rebound in that regard. But we always say, we know they have a strong confidence. We know they have a strong vibe. So at the end of the day, I'm not worried about how Northwood approaches that series. I just worried about how their mental is if they start down in the series.
Yes, and I could definitely see that being something of a concern for a lot of teams, but at the very least, we can talk about those concerns, I guess, a bit more directly as we go into our next match of the day. So this is where we're seeing, yes, again, a doubleheader, so more Northwood for everybody who needs to see that team on top, but of course, they're playing against St. Clair, really the pride of Canada coming into this matchup. Seb, I mean, if we look at these rosters, there's a lot to play for, obviously, but also just pride-wise. I mean, this is a matchup we've seen so many times.
This is one of kind of the El Clasicos that we have in CRL, and it's always an enjoy to watch because no matter the form that either team is in, they always deliver a strong match. Going back to, Summer Series back in like 2022 all the way to now, so many different iterations of the St. Clair roster has played against Northwood, and most of the time they've run up against a brick wall. That being said, ever since this EU squad has come in, it has been a back and forth affair. Sometimes St. Clair comes out on top, sometimes Northwood comes out on top, but either way, they always find a way to bring out the best of each other. And although for St. Clair, I mean, it has not been an easy season for them thus far. This has been a struggle. I mean, you put them 6th on your power ranking. I probably have them around 6th as well, and they're kind of fighting for that the last auto qual spot into Split 2. And Arju specifically there is the kind of heading the charge for that, specifically for St. Clair, to try and get them over the line, to try and make sure that they are still one of the best collegiate teams that we have in CRL.
And part of the difficulty, I think, with that is that, yes, there is expectations, but there's also the internal expectations. Arju, I mean, I don't want to pick on him, but he's been on cam, obviously, on all these series, and there's several times where they'll take a game loss in a brutal way or something, just kind of a miss in the midfield, and you can see him just kind of put his head in his hands, just say, how is that a loss? How are we getting this done? And I think that's the frustration a lot of teams are feeling. Northwood obviously has had their highs and these lows, but these are two teams that we'd expect to be probably top 4 in the nation, be able to make those grand finals, be able to make it into those fall spring championships, and they're both middle of the table. I mean, when we think about this VOD, like the stakes at play, I feel like the mental really gets to you, because not only are you taking losses, but you're taking losses that really, really matter for your league play placement.
Yeah, this means so much more for both of these teams, too. This could be the chance for St. Clair to get their spot into the top 4 and Northwood to lose theirs. Again, them losing that series and going kind of even on the split right now, I believe St. Clair would be ahead of them technically at this point in time, just due to like the 3-1 nature, or 3-2, nature that we were talking about. So kind of looking ahead for this one, this could be the decider matchup for both of these teams to make it into top 4 or have to play through that close qualifier. That is how big the stakes are for this matchup. And again, if it goes to 5, that looks even worse for both of these squads, because maybe even another team who's kind of on the outside looking in, like Baylor, could make their presence known and get all the way in there, as again, they only have a -2 game differential, so they can bounce back still.
And that game differential is also something pretty important. Just as a reminder for everybody who might just be tuning in into a quarter of the broadcast, is that this format is league play again. It is back. It's top 8 teams, but it is single round robin. So you get one shot at a team. So when we look at West Virginia Northwood, it's not about, it's okay, we got the revenge match. No, you don't have a revenge match. Maybe in an outside league, but within CRL, you are stuck with that result. So you're just going to have to kind of bite your lip, say, okay, it's fine, we'll just go on to the next one, and then you have a situation like this where it's not about the next one next week, it's right now for Northwood. So I think as we talk about this, St. Clair comes in maybe a little bit colder for this series, but I think also with a lot to prove, because when you're in that middle of the table, no one is secure. I mean, we talk about all these different teams and say, well, are they clinching or not? In the Opens, I think we can say that more definitively. In CRL, really not the case whatsoever. So I think with Chicsa, I mean, you say you have to have that goldfish memory, but on top of that, do you feel like this is a scenario where we can compare these teams based on form, or is form kind of out the window when it comes to all these up and down results?
Yeah, I wouldn't really suggest form as a good indicator right now, just because of how quickly form can change and how different each team's style ultimately is. You know, it isn't like a very particular way that every team plays anymore. You obviously see the changes that they make throughout a series more so than ever. We also talk about this format having best of fives instead of best of sevens. We're almost so used to casting them in a best of seven way and them going to game 7, but a best of 5 feels so much shorter, and you could tell some of those teams feel that pressure that you're on match point after 2 games if you've lost them back to back, and that could easily swing how that momentum and the feel of the game goes.
And we've been blessed with a decent number of Game 5s. I'm going to hope that's the case here, but at the end of the day, one team has to come out on top, which means we have to get to some predictions for
I don't know
this
if
one.
I can handle a stomp right now talking about
it's the mental's fragile on a lot of different sides from the Canadian and American side of the desk, but either way, we have to choose at least one of those sides. Chicsa, how you feeling about this second match of the night?
Yeah, this goes back and forth in my head a lot. Of course, you look at Northwood, they just lost on stream. They're back on stream, and St. Clair has been very dominant. But at the end of the day, I can't go against Northwood twice. So I'm taking Northwood in this one. I do think they get the bounce back. I think they're angry. I think they're hungry for a win. It just seems wrong to have Northwood lose twice on one stream.
Oh, man. I mean, Taco, if you don't mind me taking it from here on this one too, I'm kind of the opposite mindset. I think St. Clair, when I'm usually the one doubting them, I think they can take this instead. Northwood, they look shaky at best. We saw Creams really be the star of the show, and then the rest of the team was just trying to pick up the pieces afterwards. They're struggling on getting back to their own side without any boost, and we do see the same thing from the side of St. Clair because they are definitely watching that series. They can do it even better than we've seen WVU do it in the past, especially Varju leading the charge for their team. So I'm going to go St. Clair on this one, actually.
Wow! Bud, it's actually being Canadian. Oh my God! You know, I was just gonna sit here in Aura Farm and be like, no bias, guys. But now I'm actually like, all right, let's do this. Okay, I'm going St. Clair all the way. This is their last time on the stream for this split. The Canadians need at least something to carry us forward. I need to see these guys actually get into this second split without any hesitation, without any fear of not qualifying. Please, guys, like just give me something. Just give me something, okay? All right, thank you.
St. Clair, I think they've been on a slide a little bit in the beginning. I think they mostly course-corrected and figured things out. They're starting to get some wins. They got one over Cumberland, which is huge for them. But ultimately, for me, I don't think that last series was a Northwood thing. I think that's a West Virginia thing. I'm going to go with Northwood for my prediction. We have a nice split desk for our second series of the day, and I think it's only natural that Northwood bounces back here. That being said, this is another team that's really going to push them to their brink. They bring that EU play style. A lot of teams struggle against that, and I think it's going to be no different here with St. Clair. So coming into this with both of us kind of thinking to ourselves, all right, well, we have different rationale. We don't really know who's going to come out. All we do know is that it's Canada versus the US. It's St. Clair versus Northwood, the most storied CRL programs their countries have to offer. Forget the power rankings. No team wins a series on paper. You earn it here on the CRL stage.
Everything is on the table for these two teams. Northwood and St. Clair have everything to fight for placing in this elite play. It is a very exciting matchup and one that stretches back years, Vod.
This is that El Clasico we've been talking about for a while. A lot of people used to think it was just Akron versus Northwood, but then St. Clair set foot in the scene and made some waves with this international roster. Now they are here to stake their claim and prove that they are the better squad into this best of 5.
Been a long row for this St. Clair squad, especially at the course of this season, but Creams wants to put them down early. The one Canadian on Northwood says, nah, this is my town.
What a great start, too, as well. Perfect positioning by Zanil to set that one up on a dime for Creams. The defense just had to watch it get scored right over top of their heads and need to bounce back fast, especially if Northwood are coming out the gate. Swinging that quickly. 2 goals in a row on 2 shots from Creams.
Oh, hold on. Creams is very much, he's continuing to aura farm from last week, okay? He took CRL as mine. It is very much Northwood's. And he's continuing to roll on with it. Easy 2-0 here for Northwood.
Well, we got to see a little bit more from St. Clair. Like, again, losing these kickoffs and just giving them open goal-scoring opportunities. St. Clair is absent here.
This is, yeah, like you mentioned, absent, completely not in the server at the moment. Are the monitors on? I'm a little confused. But either way, you're starting down at 3-0. They're going to have a large amount to climb. Remember, these are best of 5s. It's not as... God! Seriously, guys! Like, take a pause! Something! This is 4 goals in the span of 18 seconds!
This is the most amount of goals we have seen scored by Northwood on a team in this time, and it is on the spring semester champions of St. Clair. St. Clair came in cold. They were frozen from the cold and harsh winters of Canada that might have just started early here for them, and they need to warm up quickly if they want any chance to come back in this game, and specifically this series. Down by 4 in the first 18 seconds is unheard of for this squad.
It's actually 20 degrees here, but it's actually quite beautiful here.
Okay, that's nice.
But yeah, no, like you mentioned, I mean, they are coming into this cold, but still, I mean, no team at this caliber should be dropping 4 goals within the first 20 seconds of a game, and it basically just tosses the entire idea of this game. It's like very much a GG go next situation. Hockey is gonna get another one for a 5-0. What is going on here? I'm trying to cast seriously, but like I can't even get locked in at this point.
I think the big thing here is that Northwood took that loss against WVU personally. It was West Virginia popping off in that series, and just goes to show how good this team of Northwood is and how much greater WVU was during that matchup. And seeing it be 5-0 basically at the first minute, you can tell that it's already a wash after the first couple of goals go through for St. Clair, but with so much time remaining, they need the length of it just to figure out where their footing is, because the foundation is not stable for them so far, and finally they do answer back.
No time they can get on the board, and at least hopefully this will be a start to them locking in, the start of the mental to get a little bit better. At this point, it might just be they're laughing off and just realizing, okay, all right, guys, let's throw those first 5 goals away. It's a new game with 4 minutes left. Let's see if we can make this comeback happen.
Again, though, barely making those saves at the goal line. You can't afford to be doing that against Northwood. That's kind of what we saw happening in that game 2 of Northwood versus West Virginia in the last one. But Sai is like, hey, I got this, guys. We're bouncing back. It's within 3. It's possible.
This is legitimately possible. I don't mean to gas up just because I'm wearing a St. Clair jersey and I predicted St. Clair. It's more just there's 3:30 on the clock. You need 3 goals. Sure, it's against Northwood, but look at the player cams of the St. Clair side. They're laughing this game off already. This is classic St. Clair.
This is just the scrappy kind of match you expect to see between these two teams. Last time they faced off against each other was in another league, and it was Northwood who took it in stride. But one game we did see St. Clair come out with like 5 or 6-0. So again, this could be a similar scenario, kind of a revenge story for Northwood, but a revenge story for Sai instead. 3 goals on 3 shots. They got a hattie for their team.
It's as if Northwood saw all the errors that St. Clair were making, and they said, you know, all right, we can do better. Let me try that. I'll have one of those, good sir. 5-3 here for St. Clair, who are firmly on the comeback now. Northwood gonna have to keep themselves in check. Hopefully we'll get a much more serious game. Hockey's gonna be able to get the second touch. Steele's gonna approach. As Jazzy go for the challenge. Zai's already on his way back. Jazzy looking for the 50 as well, is actually able to get through. This could be a decent opening if Jazzy can cut, but he won't. Go straight over Arju's head. Zai will have to recover.
That's the name of the game here. Sai will have to recover for the team for St. Clair. We've seen it happen so far with those 3 goals just to earn a little bit more respect back for their side of things. But at the halfway point of this game just about now, and Northwood looked so great in that first minute. But again, they are keeping them at bay. They still have the lead and then some, and it's going to still take so much more time for St. Clair to bounce back. And Northwood now kind of nailing it in, dialing it in as much as they can against St. Clair, knowing that they only have to hold on for those 2 minutes and some change left.
Yeah, but at this point, can you afford to, with how many goals have gone on? Zanil almost gets that double touch. And someone did ask, are these all pros? Yes. Yes, these are all pros. Sai's going to put one on. Arju's going to try and doink it off his car, but it's a touch too high. Decent opportunity, though. For this amount of time, this is the longest stretch we've seen without a goal scored. Will it continue in that fashion? The time will tell.
Ooh, Hockey though with a great touch. Sai barely getting the save on the back line and really just doing it all for their team. Goals and shots and saves and keeping them in the fight against Northwood. But Creams has something to say about it. Sai again almost deflected it away, but not enough power behind it. Hockey with the dunk in.
And this one was actually well earned. A bit of off an error from Jazzy. Okay, you know what? No, this is straight up Paris all around. I don't think Sai was expecting the touch from Jazzy to come down so quick. He wasn't in the back post position to be able to deal with it. So it will be 6-3 here for Northwood, wanting to walk away with this first game in this best of 5. Again, with so much stakes on the line, placement, potentially the second split calling. Northwood ended all here. Sai will collect. Arju gonna put up high, trying to cook, but gets bumped out of the way.
You know what it is, Seb? I think it is.
Please.
Because recently we did see in another league again that St. Clair got reverse swept by WVU. They're like, okay, we just gotta lose game 1 and then we're gonna come back with the rest of them. But honestly, that's just a lot of copium going on right now because again, St. Clair, they can't afford to drop those kind of goals. Yes, they did bring it back within 3 as much as they could, and well, it was within 2 for a couple of minutes there. But again, if they are going down early, they're still gonna be playing catch up the entire series, and they'll have to be playing it now, especially with 38 seconds and the time that is remaining, the goals that are ahead of them, but the possession that's in favor of Northwood. St. Clair have their work cut out for them and then some throughout this series.
And listen, but you know I'm very familiar with Canadian copium, and let me just say it is maple syrup flavored, especially for St. Clair, as they will be going down in game 1 unless they're able to score 3 within 15, but that's not really doable. Northwood able to hang on. St. Clair did have a bit of a run for themselves. Creams not able to put this shot on, but the Canadians, well, I should say Canadian school, European squad will be starting from behind in this series after what was a fun game, an interesting game, a game of all time, some might say.
It was a game, for sure. For Northwood, it was just a shooting gallery and them playing some free play at the start, it felt like, because St. Clair did not put up any resistance in that first 30 seconds. Then eventually Sai said, I've had enough, I can score 2, and kind of showed what they were worth. Really, all eyes on the rest of the team, though. Arju and Jazzy, you were talking about it. We were talking about it. Arju is kind of the captain of this squad, and we expect big things from them. But they've had some moments throughout the semester of shakiness and not as much confidence as we saw from the spring semester, where they were able to come out on top. So now we'll see a card change probably coming from Jazzy. We'll see if that changes the mental enough for them, because mental is everything for these players, Seb.
It really is, and especially for a team like like St. Clair, where so much of what makes this team operate, I should really get the shot off. So much of what this team operates is a very high chemistry play style. They're not the cleanest, most fundamental team that you will find around. They really focus on just reactive touches and playing off each other, and that's generally what carries them across the line. Northwood, you can guarantee, will be a mix of good fundamentals with good individualism, but St. Clair just really vibes off each other with a touch of individual brilliance from Arju now and then. But for this squad, it's all flat faces across the board. They are locked in, they are focused, they know what they need to do.
You know what they need to do here, Seb? Not give up 4 goals in 30 seconds.
Yes,
We'll see if that
that
can
would
happen
also
this
be
time.
nice.
Sai's looking for the first one. Archie with the follow-up, and nobody's there. This is exactly how they need to start off in the first 5 seconds.
Finally, we get to see a kickoff goal go the other way for one. Sai, this is a great touch. Hockey not able to do much with it, as Arju will put it through, opening this game, the 1-0 for St. Clair.
Exactly what we were hoping for from this team after the disaster class performance we saw in the last one. A different story though on at Forbidden Temple. Arju tried to get the setup for the centering chance. Would have been on target if so, but Zanil on the follow through, doing the best possible work that they can. Good touches here though. The demo onto Jazzy was a dangerous smokescreen, but was saved away by Arju. Back into the midfield though, it's about to go. Hockey doing what they can to get Creams in an optimal position. The demo helps pave the way to success for Northwood, but a much better defensive effort so far from St. Clair.
Yeah, definitely. And even you see from hitting the posts, almost allowing a transition goal as well from Arju. This one will be transitioning across. Arju straight to Jazzy. Good job of covering the midfield line, but not good enough. Hockey tries to get the redirect in, but a bit too speedy for him. Creams just as aggressive as ever, and he needs to be. Zanil and Hockey both doubled up. Jazzy will take it down, but the back and forth affair, I imagine, a lot less scoring than what we saw from game 1. That being said, Northwood, it can be stopped.
A nice effort from Northwood for sure. Gave it their all, but a little bit off the mark, and that seemed to be what was plaguing them throughout the last series against West Virginia. But they did dial things in to 110% at the start of the last game, and I just hope that they didn't give all their effort at the start there. We've seen many teams plagued with that, where they give so much possession, so many pressuring chances in one game where they don't really have much in the tank afterwards, and that seems to be the case here. Again, missing right in front of an open net.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that Zanil and the rest of Northwood just struggling to dial the shots in, to get the accuracy in, which is what they've kind of struggled with in the last series too. They're doing a decent job at making their chances, but executing them, converting on them is what's hampering their ability right now. St. Clair, on the other hand, looking for the transition. Hockey will do what he can to keep it in play, and at least force a transition of their own. Creams, that's a lot of boost to play with, and now this is where Northwood starts to get dangerous.
I feel like they might just be having a flashback while they're playing on this map. They got stomped on by West Virginia, and now they're kind of second-guessing themselves on defense, especially with touches like that coming in from Jazzy. Wow. Does go to the midfield instead, though. Jazzy has another chance. Could have put it on target for a goal. Did not exactly get the flip that they wanted on the ball. Does deflect it to the side for another opportunity, but goes again into the corner. Side barely missing it out. Arju can't get there in time either, and now it's in possession for Northwood.
Zanil's hard demo chasing right now. Sai was able to come in with the defensive touch to relieve his teammates, but now we can see Northwood's just trying to be a bit more proactive on the offensive transition, but Arju with the dunk down says, nah, this one's going in.
Read him and weep. Arju comes from the midfield, gets the flick forward, the touch that they needed for the dime into the net, and nothing can be done by Northwood. This is what we were hoping and expecting to see for St. Clair. Just took them some time to wake up.
Hopefully this was the call. Getting absolutely blasted 5-0 in 1 minute. I would imagine that would be a wake-up call for anyone. Arju somehow gets the flip reset on that one. Sai's going to be able to mindset it downfield, go straight to Arju, but will get demoed for his efforts now. Again, Northwood have the initiative. They're in the driver's seat. Pass over to Hockey. Hockey puts it through. 1 and 2. Northwood stay alive.
These are the passing plays we saw them going for previously, and it was working out decently, but the defense was a little bit stronger in the last series. That time, Arju could have gotten saved. They've gotten to before and was able to keep the lead for now, but instead does go right over top of them and can't get it close enough. So good touch by Hockey to keep them in the game, a lot closer than it was at the halfway point before, but now we got to see what Creams can do with it.
Sai. And Arju puts a shot on. Zanil, this is just to steal some boost, get some positioning in play. 90 seconds remaining. Hockey, this has been a struggle for Northwood. Again, it's not as if they've hadn't had these chances. They've actually been able to manage quite well. But St. Clair just been better on the touches. Jazzy looking for the redirect shot in, maybe looking for the second touch. Will Jazzy do it? Yes, he can. The man peaks for St. Clair.
Now everyone on the team firing on all cylinders. A great setup too by Psy from their own pitch on the way to the corner. Jazzy follows it through and nobody can take it away from them. The high and dry play we saw from West Virginia now being emulated by St. Clair. They're picking up a thing or two and learning from their mistakes, but will it be enough to get them the win?
Strong plays in transition too. So Neil actually gets bumped out of the way, but Northwood sending these around and are able to play around the defense okay, but just think the defensive touches from St. Clair, they're so strong. This could be dangerous though. Hockey's already ahead, puts a soft touch in, just not strong enough to put this one through. 50 seconds for Northwood if they want a chance at this game.
Oh, that chance might have been ripped away for a second, but you do hear the ding off of the crossbar. Instead goes the other directions, and Neil can't get the touch. A bit of a fake out as well. So we do see Creams with the centering chance. Hockey, no dice. Creams again, waiting for their teammate to rip possession away from the offense of St. Clair. Time ticking it down on both sides. So I'm just trying to keep it in play as long as they can. Waste those precious seconds and make it inevitable for their victory to tie up this series.
I like the idea. No boost, but tries to get the pass off. This is a game of classic St. Clair. Even if this one finds its mark, it's not good enough. A match that continues to deliver back and forth. St. Clair will go ahead, tie the series.
A better look for them for sure, specifically Arju. We only saw a single shot from them last time. They did get an assist, of course, on the play, but they're the MVP for this one. Able to bounce back for their team, exactly what we needed for the captainship from St. Clair. On the other end of things, though, we saw a lot of great work from Hockey in the last game. They got the most goals for their team. We did see them get the one for their squad here to at least try to bring things back here, Seb, but just didn't prove to be enough.
No, and I think this is a game, a perfect example of St. Clair poking holes in Northwood's defensive strategy, recognizing that the rotates, they're not quick enough, you're not reacting well enough to us in the midfield, you're giving us way too much space, and we're going to punish you for it every single time. The Jazzy goal, perfect example. No one was covering that pass, and it was just an easy, well, not, I wouldn't say it. Okay,
No,
I'm not saying I could do that, but it was a beautiful double tap from Jazzy to give St. Clair an even extended lead. So Northwood's going to have to really think. I think they're taking that time. And now we get smiles across the board for the St. Clair guys. Back to fun times.
We'll see if it's going to be a fun time for them in this next game on
we will
DFX
see.
Stadium. Again, we've known this Northwood team able to bounce back from the brink against the best of teams out there. And St. Clair, they were the best team, but now they're kind of at the middle of the table. This is their time to shine, to prove themselves as one of the better squads, to make it into that Split 2. Again, last series on stream for them, so this will be the last time we see them. Otherwise, they might be in a close qualifier or trying to hold on to Split 2 afterwards.
That's what it's a good point that you mentioned, is that we know the peak of the St. Clair team, and it is literally the best team in collegiate. Like, this is a team that at the end of the day won a championship, was able to just completely smash everyone at one point or another. Arju with a fantastic save, using the bounce off the crossbar to keep St. Clair alive. No boost at all, just doing everything he can to scramble it out of their end of the field. Sai doing it as well. Cream still chasing some demos, trying to be annoying as possible, forcing Arju on the break.
That was a great look from Northwood. They heard you yapping a little bit about St. Clair. They're like, hey,
Yeah,
you
they're
gotta
like,
remember,
all right,
we're
chill,
still the top dogs out there for some time. Yes, we did lose to WVU, but again, just goes to show how good that West Virginia squad was during that series. Sai, though, they looked really good in game one. They look really good here, too. A perfect bump out of the way to pave the path to victory for Arju.
Sai getting this bump was so crucial. Arju just putting it on. Creams way too far behind and couldn't get high enough, but so much of it was on the placement from Arju. Needed to get that top shelf, needed to get it away from Creams, and he did.
Beautiful touch, but will it be enough? Well, in the first minute for the goal here, we have seen a lot of success from them so far, especially since the last game. But again, always going to be some doubt in their mind once we saw that ferociousness from the Timberwolves come out to play in game one in those first 18 or so seconds. And right now, Creams, they have been owed a goal for some time, the first time in a while. Today, we have not seen one from them.
Oh wait, this one might just be open, yeah, because the demo from Arju again catches them sleeping. Northwood struggling with this midfield here against St. Clair.
This is such a tough look as well. Again, you see the 0 boost totals from the majority of the team. The demo comes out, but it actually is not enough for them to get back in time. Tried to spawn as quickly as they could in there, but still did not prove to be enough. Again, though, Hockey setting up Creams, does go to the back end. Zanil takes it forward as best they can. A good demo potential play by Creams to clear the way, and they just haven't had the connections that they've been looking for. Easy enough to dodge for the side of St. Clair. They've played against a lot of demo-heavy teams before. And RG with the flick over top the defender. They're on top of the world.
Needed to get this one, Arju. Classic ones. Easy flick. Creams just had no idea that Arju was going to make this catch. St. Clair continued to impress. Ranked 6th in collegiate, eh?
We'll have to see if that'll be the tale that's told afterwards, especially with another one. This from Sai yet again off the kickoff, and that's been plaguing Northwood. We saw it happen so many times before, and that was a great cheat up by Sai to get the touch. Zanil almost with the save, just not enough power behind it.
Yeah, Zanil couldn't get the angle because of the lip of the goal, fortunately. So a strong 4-0 from St. Clair so early in this game, though anything can happen. We saw it a bit in game 1 with 3 unanswered from St. Clair, or 2, I should say. In this game, there's still plenty of time for Northwood, who does have the skill, does have the ability. It's all about whether or not they can capitalize.
Just goes to show game 1 might have been a struggle for Northwood in the past. They were able to get the past couple that we've seen from them, and then afterwards, not really much to show for. They've had a struggle in endurance throughout their series this semester, and that's been plaguing them yet again. Off the ceiling, though, from Hockey, a great touch, but nobody there on the follow-through just to clear it out of their own side. Good dunk on by Creams. A potential touch here by Zanil. The demo from Creams is huge, but 2 defenders are right in position.
I mean, you look at how Northwood, they're trying to control the midfield, trying to keep the boost in play, go for these early challenges. This actually might be dangerous as well if Arju is careful. He's going to be able to get the flick over. Get the flip reset over. Still has some space to work with. Zanil had to dive up early for that one. Showing St. Clair can really be dangerous from anywhere at the moment. Northwood still showing some capability, so we're still showing some adaptation here. But is it too late?
We'll have to see. That's really the answer there, because again, with less than 2 minutes, we need a goal scoring opportunity from the side of Northwood. We've seen a couple of them. I mean, looking specifically at their shots, only 3. This is the least amount we've seen from them at this point in the game today. They need some more offensive pressure. They need to get the ball away from St. Clair. They keep throwing it away at the midfield. A double commit here. You can tell that they are stressing a bit too much with this scoreline ahead of them.
Yeah, a little bit. Especially in transition, you need the comms to be succinct, which we've seen before. This is going to be straight down the field. Arj easily covered. No problem at all for the Canadian side. 90 seconds remaining. This one looks like it might be the bed, but Zanil wants to say no. Northwood wants to say no. So much ahead of them, so much stakes on this one. You do not want to be down match point against this squad.
Less than a minute to go. Really just a formality, it feels like at this point. Very similar to the other direction it went before, but Creams, they do get on the board. There is a chance for them to come back with the time remaining.
Yeah, a lot of space given here to Creams. I just don't think Jazzy, I mean, one had to avoid Zanil, but didn't think that Zanil, Creams was going to get the sauce on. He got a little under it, but it just wasn't enough. 52 seconds, 4-1 for St. Clair.
Too far into the net to make the full save as well. If they were a little bit farther out, would have been a different story, but can't go back in time for now. What they do need to do is have the time on the clock go down as much as possible and delay possession for Northwood. They did get the boost steal on the midfield, so Zanil can't keep their stay on the other side as long as they were hoping it to be. Good touch by Creams, though. Arju at the midfield, who's been just such a menace for this Northwood squad. They've realized that the midfield presence is where they need to take this team down.
Exactly, right? Every single time you see Northwood even attempt anything in transition, Arju is already up for it. Finally, Zanil able to get on the board himself and contribute this deficit against Northwood, but it may be too late.
We shall see. If they get a kickoff goal and then some, could be a chance for them.
Of those,
but again, I know, like with the time that's remaining, not likely. very improbable, and with it going in the favor of St. Clair, not going to happen at this point in time. So
hold on,
Northwood kind of looking forward to what things will go down for them in the next game, especially with RG having possession here. They could have gotten the goal, but Jazzy's like, no, we're just going to waste more time just to secure the victory here, and it will go to the next one. Northwood, again, wins game 1, but can't really pick up the pieces afterwards.
I mean, it's also a testament, I think, to both WVU and St. Clair, where they're able to make adaptations so quickly.
True.
Remember how St. Clair, how slow they were in game 1, right? They were fumbling over each other, trying to figure out, oh, who's going to cover the midfield? Oh, I'm going to get this touch. Okay. Oh, you're gonna go in transition. Okay, great. And now that they've kind of dialed it in, Arju is being that proper third man to try and make sure that nothing gets too dangerous. Jazzy being a good offensive option as well as I think it's kind of working out for them, at least in Northwood and how they're playing. I mean, it's definitely a case where defense is winning games for sure.
It really is. I mean, we saw, and not specifically like goal line defense either. It comes down to like preventing them even having a chance for these opportunities. The majority of the shots we saw towards the end for Northwood were the ones that ended up being goals for them with Zanil and Creams, but it just proved to be a little bit too late there. So this is the time for Northwood to lock in and make those adjustments if they want to force that game 5. We were expecting to see it a little bit earlier from the WVU series. We'll see if they can do it here.
There's so much to play for. I mean, just to remind you guys of the stakes, I mean, this is 2 teams who are sitting properly middle of the pack, edging that 4th place finish. Remember, to qualify immediately for Split 2, you need to be in the top 4. St. Clair has been fighting for that every single step of the way. Same with Northwood, which is VOD. I mean, frankly, this is not what we expected when we started it. We thought that Northwood and St. Clair both, this would be a free run for them to the second split.
Yeah, a lot of teams expecting big things from them, including Concord, and they've been shaky at best. There's no like guaranteed dominant team out there so far. A lot of people thinking Winthrop, but with the WVU performance that we've seen, who knows who the top team in CRL is right now. We'll have to find that out once it actually gets to that semester championship. But for now, first 30 seconds, very dangerous for St. Clair, but nobody in position from Northwood to sink it in.
Great patience from Jazzy, though. Lets Sai handle it with the last boost that he had, so he keeps Jazzy in position. That being said, Northwood looking more and more dangerous. They're locked and loaded with a ton of boost on the table. No boost on the side of St. Clair until Arju is able to pick up, but so many touches coming in, so many bumps, and still St. Clair able to keep it out. Zanil gets the drop down, but no one is there to receive.
So might be seeing something here from Jazzy if they can just dish this one away. Hockey, great touch, but only delays the inevitable of the clear to the midfield. Zanil looking a lot more confident though, and that's a big thing we've been missing from this Northwood roster. Expecting big things from them, especially with the RLCS season coming ahead of us. They have a new roster with Royales and Andy. I mean, they're looking big as they can there, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. Either way though, Creams has potential. They just need to keep this going with that forward momentum. That's what's been lacking from Northwood a lot of times, just keeping things on the orange half of the field as long as they can, sustaining that offensive pressure. And right now, nothing's being sustained on defense. It's Arju with another goal.
Yeah, a case where Northwood potentially overcooked and Arju immediately there on the punish. Sai also doing a great job at chasing Hockey down, making sure that Arju has enough room and enough speed to get this ahead of that rotation. Now we'll see St. Clair ahead by 1. Northwood firmly on the back foot now.
Good pop-up by Hockey to Zanil, though. This is just a full field passing play, and nobody can stop them. Great bounce back.
Exactly when you need them. Zanil and Creams, the duo, pops off in the clutch. Able to tie up this game. 3:17 remaining. Northwood playing for their lives now.
Definition of clean is what that playbook was that they pulled out there.
Clean.
I mean, beautiful from them, but almost another dagger into the heart of the Northwood defense there. Barely off the mark this time. Zanil looking for the dump time, does get the bump.
There it is.
Barely
What a
saved away
save!
by Arju, and still it's in play.
It was like pre-jumped for the save. That looked like it was so ready to go through. It was well planned by the Northwood side, getting the bump in. Sai will be there for the save on this one, and now you get to see Northwood have a bit more control, and with it, the lead. Hockey able to get this one through.
Things are slipping away for St. Clair. Possession, a bump in between 2 players. They had to go for the ball, but took the long way around for boost instead and could not get there in time. You could see the frustration of the quick chat from RG. They knew that they could have saved that one away.
Yeah, it was just one of those potentials as Northwood clamp down that midfield control and make St. Clair hurt time after time. A pass goes a bit wide. Zanil didn't need that second touch. Hockey was ready for it, but he might be here already. Creams jumping for this one. Sai will have to send it downfield. Finally, straight to Arju. Tries to look for a second touch, but it won't get through. But at least some breathing room here for St. Clair.
That was a beautiful pre-jump too from Arju after getting the initial touch to try and just direct
It's just
it into
EU
the net.
Rocket League, you know?
Yeah,
It's
EU
just,
Rocket
sometimes
League,
it just hits different.
The 50-50s, they just kind of know where to deflect it afterwards. But even then, 2 minutes remain on the clock now. Anybody's game. Northwood, though, they were starting to cook a little bit there, and they are doing a little bit better on defense as well. Good passing play, though, into the heavens. Zanil able to get the touchdown. Sai patiently waiting, baiting out the defense as best they can, but Arju not in the position they needed to be.
This part, though, this is classic St. Clair. They will do whatever they can to be able to get as many touches as possible, so long as it just keeps the defensive rotation of Northwood ready and just spending as much boost as possible to chase the ball down, which eventually forces a goal. But you only have 90 seconds to make that strategy work. Creams is coming off the ceiling with no boost to speak of, and still keeps it close, keeps it dangerous. Does this one find its mark? This one's just around Sai. What are you doing?
Well, we'll have to look at the replay for that one. Arju just kind of runs away and gives it directly to Hockey. Sai was not even in position to make the save. It went right behind their noses, and it will be a 3-1 lead and potential Game 5 on the horizon for Northwood. This is the bounce back that they were waiting for, and St. Clair cannot afford for this to happen.
You want to know how I know that St. Clair is still having a good time? Is one goals like this. Arju makes the room, and Sai finishes to keep it within reach.
Exactly what they needed to do, clearing out that last defender. Perfect bump from Arju. You saw Jazzy try to go for it. They knew this was their time to make their presence known on offense. Had to go all in, and it came out with a big win on the goal line there. But still down by 1 with a minute remaining on the clock. Need a bit more from this team.
This is doable. Sai, oh my goodness. They are going for absolutely everything right now, trying to find as much creativity as possible. Zanil scrambling to get this out of their zone, and he does. Hockey will go up, actually beats him to it, but no one is in the net. Zanil, this is a 3-1 for him, 4-2 for Northwood. Will this seal the deal?
Great touch too by Zanil for the bounce shot. Knew that they could have gotten it kind of closer into the net, but they saw the defender coming out the side of their eyes. So they knew, hey, you got to make this a bit awkward for the save. Instead, getting it with a slow bounce over top, knew it would still go in and hit its mark. They were missing a couple shots like that in previous series, not this time.
Not this time at all. Sai still keeping it close. Man for band right now between Northwood and St. Clair. They're just going back and forth still. Keeping it close. This is a great game, dude. This is such a good game.
I mean, great game, but not as much so defensively from these teams. They are just showcasing their goal-scoring capabilities that we were lacking before. A bit of a fake kickoff for both teams here. Creams wins it out at the end, and Zanil has potential to take this the distance. They just need to waste some more time, keep the pressure going. Even with the back and forth, they still have the lead.
30 seconds remaining. Not the most amount of boost. Musty will go through. It's going to drop down. Jazzy goes for the shot, and it's through for the tie. Brilliant pass over to Jazzy.
This is the bounce back that St. Clair were hoping for. Beautiful touch, a bit too high for the save. Almost just a hair's breadth and length between Zanil and the ball. Went right over top of them into the net, tying things up. 24 seconds remain, Seb.
I love that for me, the quick shot's still up. For you have time, because that is how St. Clair have played this. They have taken their time. They've been patient. Sai wants to end it all here. 5-4 for St. Clair.
4 saves for Zanil this entire game. Nothing from the rest of the team. That seems to be what happened here. A bump from Creams onto Zanil. Knew they couldn't get back in time. And just anguish on the side of Northwood. Time is not on their side here and now, especially being down by 1. They need to get the ball in their favor, and it's still in the orange half, in possession for Jazzy. Trying to drop it down as best they can. Creams, no centering shot, and this might be the last chance for Hockey.
Zanil has little boost to speak of. Sai is going to send this away. Northwood fall, and St. Clair snatch victory in the final seconds, winning this series 3-1. The boys are laughing it off. St. Clair, no, they're back.
That they are. Big question remains, though, will it be enough for them to cement themselves in at that top 4? We got to wait for the rest of the series to finish out here, Seb, but that was a crucial victory for them. They needed that as much as any other team, but especially against a squad like Northwood, and the way that they were able to bring things back, never gave up throughout that entire game, where it seemed almost inevitable at some point that Northwood would come out with the victory. Just goes to show you should not give up, especially ranked teammates. If you're ever listening to this, a goal goes in, you can still come back.
I'm still FFing at 3 minutes. I don't care what you say, but I will say that amongst this, you look at St. Clair. I mean, listen, I feel like I'm biased and I'm blazing, but it's like, dude, this is a team that the moment it switched over to 2 minutes remaining, a switch just turned onto their brain, and we're like, oh yeah, we are actually just great. We're a good team. We know how to play this game, and this is a team that showed it in those last minutes. It really felt like no matter what Northwood did, defensively, they just couldn't keep up, whether it was bumps and demos coming through for St. Clair. They were able to make that space and make it look easy.
Yeah, I think the big thing here too, Seb, that we're kind of missing as well in the full picture is that St. Clair, the minimum amount of goals that they scored, even the one where they gave up so many to Northwood in game 1, was 3. That is insane. Many teams struggle to even get that many goals against the top squads. They are able to do that against Northwood every single game. Northwood, if they need to fix something, it's got to be their defense.
It has to be, but I think this is going to be a hard moment of reflection. I don't believe they're out of it completely just yet, right? In terms of
depends on like tiebreakers and how the rest
really,
of the games
it depends on how the rest of the series goes. But as far as I think for this squad, this is going to be a bit of a wake-up call and be like, okay, guys, like we really, really need to figure some stuff out. If St. Clair's getting wins over us, WVU are getting wins over us. Two teams we have historically had very positive records against. This is a team that really, I think, needs to find itself again, needs to find what makes themselves work again. And either way, this has been it lives up to the name. A series that went back and forth, a lot of offense, the defense was whatever, but a lot of offense. That was just really fun to watch. It was a lot of fun, Rocket League. In the meantime, we are going to take a short break while we load up our next series and our interview. So we'll see you back in just a second.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to, of course, our Collegiate Rocket League. I have the luxury of Arju on a broadcast with me right now. Arju, how are you feeling after that win?
I mean, pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The start of the series was kind of tough, but I didn't expect it. Like, I know we were gonna put up a fight, but I didn't expect it to just like kind of win it that smoothly in the end, if that makes sense. Like, the comeback was good, so I don't know. Just pretty excited overall.
Yeah, historically, you guys struggle against a team like Northwood, but as you saw, Northwood was on stream right before you guys. Did you guys watch that match, take a couple notes from WVU, or did you have your own entire strategy against Northwood this time?
I think what really works well for us is just like being confident. Like, we don't really look at how other teams play. Like, so I think before the series, just like warm up, make sure like you're properly warmed up, and then just like I don't know, just to relax.
No, that's good. Honestly, you guys seem pretty relaxed. As you said, the start of the series went pretty south for you guys. You got scored on nearly 4 times in something like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of laughter. I saw a lot of pretty chill vibes for a team that started losing quite quickly.
I mean, yeah, it was. I think it was 4 goals in 28 seconds, which it might be some kind of record. I'm not sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you get scored that many goals all in a row, like, there's no really point in just like getting like mad over it. Like that game is kind of like, you can still come back, but like you can pretty much tell like that game is already over. So there's not really point in like, you know, being sad and mad about it. You just try as hard as you can. Maybe you get a comeback, but if not, you just focus on the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. This was your guys' last streamed match here during the split. How do you guys feel you have done so far across the split? Are you happy with how you've been able to play? Are you looking forward towards next split? Are you confident you're in the top 4 teams? What's the general thoughts of the guys right now? Are you looking ahead?
I mean, I wouldn't say we're happy with how we played, but there's not much you can do about like what happened. So I mean, we're confident like for next split. Hopefully we can stay in the top 4. We're like, I'm not really sure how this score is gonna go down when all the teams are done playing, so I'm not really sure if we're gonna be in the top 4, but hopefully we are. If not, we'll just qualify again, and definitely better. Like, we'll definitely do better next split.
Awesome. It seems like you guys are very confident and you've been doing pretty well in the back half of split. Any final words, thoughts you'd like to tell anyone?
I mean, as always, a shout out to the fans, like people that watch, like always appreciate people supporting the channel, and always shout out to Yusuf. Say hi. Hello. And obviously shout out to our directors as well. They are always supporting us, always here to help us. So, thank you all.
Well, Arju, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us on broadcast, and of course, good luck with the rest of the split and the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, Canada, being able to get it done and in dramatic fashion. I mean, taking down Northwood is one thing, but doing it in the fashion that they did is such an interesting perspective to have. Oftentimes, it seems like the Wolfpack is untouchable, but Sebdot, really not the story that we had to be able to witness.
No, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say that this was the best series of Rocket League ever. This was a series that defensively was lacking at times. We saw that many times. However, in terms of a barn burner of just, hey, we're just going to take turns, you know, scoring on each other, punching each other, basically. This was super fun to watch, and it showed St. Clair that when they want to play that game, they can play it to its limit, and Northwood just could not keep up with the pace. It was the moment that you saw a switch get turned on from St. Clair, they got that midfield control, and then from there, it was they could do anything they wanted.
And I especially want to talk about with Vaudable, when we're looking at Northwood or St. Clair, we thought that was going to be pretty even keel. In that last game, with 34 seconds to go, Northwood is up by 2. We did not go to overtime, and St. Clair was able to win this. Is this just a tale of this is Northwood coming in cold, or do we just see West Virginia and St. Clair finally figuring things out and really just getting into that flow state?
I think it's just a Northwood that hasn't quite found their footing. Even last season, we saw them struggle at times when they came out of the gate saying, we're going to win everything. And then they won like a couple of the opens, but then they weren't able to really do anything after that. They didn't win the season for fall or spring. They did win, outside leagues, but this is the big one for CRL. And if they're starting to struggle here, it makes me question how the rest of the split and semester is going to go for them, especially once we get an influx of new teams through that closed qualifier.
Yeah, and obviously we have a lot of things to talk about in terms of split 2 and able to see who from the opens is able to actually compete in that closed qualifier to get into split 2. But of course, we're not split 2. We are split 1. So as we take a look at the standings after that last game, then we do have to see these are the updated. Obviously, a new team at the top, Chicksa.
Yeah, WVU up top, and deservedly so. They have done well. They had beat Winthrop when everyone thought Winthrop was untouchable, and now they have just continued to showcase their dominance throughout these games. It's kind of crazy to see the changeup that we've had throughout split 1. Just when we think one team is on top, we've quickly seen it change. But WVU seems to have really locked down things in the back half of this split, and they look untouchable. Like every team that loses against them, it seems like, what more could you do? WVU just played that much better.
It's really mind-blowing to see how well these teams are starting to play. Obviously, West Virginia at the top, but Winthrop is still competing, and then so is Cumberland. So when we do look at our next match on the day entering the back half of the broadcast, it is going to be Cumberland as well as the Winthrop Eagles facing off, trying to see if they can start to solidify their placements, or more importantly, see if they can actually come back. Both teams coming in off of a loss. Vaudeville, so much to play for, but also a lot to watch play with these two rosters.
Yeah, these are two teams that at one point were the two top squads in the first week of competition. Now we've seen things settle a little bit more with Winthrop towards the top. Cumberland, this series matters so much more for them as well. Again, 3-2. They could go 3-3 here if they manage to lose, and we could, depending on game differential, if it's a sweep, see Northwood start to come back towards that upper echelon of that top 4 split. So Cumberland, this is a must win, not just in the series itself, but individual games. And I think they know that. This team, if anyone's going to put some pressure outside of Northwood and WVU onto Winthrop, this would be the team to look at.
And as we look at the players' cams, we see some in the background. Bet on yourself, the graphic on the back wall. That's exactly, I think, what Cumberland has done this entire semester. Coming out the gates, fiery, getting great wins. And I would say they've slowed down, but in a way, Seb, I think it's really just everyone else maybe catching up. And obviously, the growing pains of playing in the most competitive split of CRL we've ever seen.
Yeah, that's the thing. And what we knew about league play going into this is it's not as if you're going to get lucky with a bracket every now and then. It's every team is going to have the chance to figure you out. And especially with a team like Winthrop, who has so much experience, Garrett G on the screen here, they are going to be able to figure you out at the end of the day. And it's whether or not you're able to deal with that and move past that and trust in your ability as a team, trust what got you to this point in CRL where you are one of legitimately the favorites for this split. That's what will carry you forward.
I think there's a lot to be said about teams that have to rely on the skill level, on being able to just power through. And I think the last time we saw the Winthrop team, their loss was against Northwood last week. I think that's what propelled at least me to elevate Northwood a bit above Winthrop. Everyone else is doubting, and I have to see, I see why now after those Northwood series. Taking 2 losses, that's rough. Winthrop now is the one who takes that mantle of having the doubleheader. And of course, this is number 1 of those 2 matches. Against Cumberland, it's Winthrop versus Cumberland to be able to see who can actually move a little bit further along. We have to see how those predictions are going to work out. Vaudeville, far end, coming back to me. How do you see this one panning out?
We kind of know how this one should go, right? We've seen Garrett G, Percy, and T. Carell dominate the scene so far. Again, they did lose, but it was in Game 5 overtime to Northwood, and that was a better look for Northwood than we saw typically today. Winthrop, they aren't playing in too much outside of this, but they did play in a CCC qualifier and just destroyed the competition there. I feel like I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be Winthrop taking the victory. It just depends on how many games Cumberland will be able to get, and every single one's going to be crucial.
And I do like how you mentioned game differential, because that is a huge aspect of tiebreakers, especially for teams that are more towards the middle. Seb, are you of a similar mind?
I mean, I think that when it comes to Winthrop in this situation is, yes, they lost a best of 5 against Northwood, which it's not as if Northwood is not a fantastic team. Cumberland, on the other hand, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but it kind of does feel like they're slowing down a little bit. Some of the steam is sort of just weighing them down a bit, just coming down. And with that, I feel that Cumberland is going to have a really hard time. And I think Winthrop have only showcased their potential, and we haven't really seen the peak of it just yet. I think they have that loss against Northwood. They're going to take it in stride and just smash Cumberland to prove that they're still the best. So I'm taking Winthrop.
All right, well, halfway there. Chixa, are you going to be able to continue the streak?
I am absolutely continuing this streak. I think Winthrop had a very off game against Northwood. That series in particular was sloppy for both sides. It's why it went to 5. It's why it went to overtime. I don't think we saw the best from both teams in that scenario. And Winthrop kind of had a misstep. But honestly, teams are allowed to misstep. It's really hard to be consistent across so many games, across so many different team styles and so many players. But on paper, I do think Winthrop is just the better team. Cumberland started off really hot, but you're right, they are losing steam. They don't look as good as they did earlier in the beginning part of Split, and I think that's going to play a huge toll in how this game ends up.
Yes, and as we say that, we have 3 for Winthrop. The last time the desk was predominantly or just entirely against Cumberland, the social media team took a screenshot and had a graphic result that was not flattering for us. They used as a background.
Never is, Taco.
So here's another opportunity, because I am also going Winthrop. Cumberland is a team that has played well 95% of the time, but I think if you are playing against Winthrop, it has to be 100%. I don't know if they're there quite yet. I don't think this is a season over for them. They still have some games in hand, but I think Winthrop is just a bit too strong to be able to handle it. So we are sweeping the desk, which historically has kind of been 50-50. Sometimes it's a curse,
I can't wait to get
sometimes it's
added
just
on Twitter for this.
a pretty normal. Yeah, we might get memed on Twitter, but ultimately we have to be able to see how these teams do shake out. So all of that to be said, it doesn't really matter what we think. It's about how the players play, because Cumberland are the Phoenix, but them and the Eagles of Winthrop arise from the ashes of a series defeat. It's bird-on-bird violence to solidify a spot in Split 2. They'll take to the skies as we head to the pitch.
2 new kids on the block. Both started off their splits really hot, but at the end of the day, they've lost a little steam, and both of them are now trying to rise to the occasion. Cumberland, Winthrop, a powered team with some of the best players that we have ever seen in Rocket League, but at the end of the day, that's all contested. All of that is all of opinion, and now players will make their stance on the field.
And honestly, I couldn't think of 2 different storylines for these 2 teams coming into this match. I mean, when we were talking about Winthrop, I said specifically, this is one of the best teams that we have ever seen been put together for CRL. This is a top-tier caliber team. And then you look at Cumberland, this is a team that's been built over time and has players who have already played in CRL for different institutions, have come from different institutions, all to come together to play for this squad. Both of them have come in so dominant and are looking to fight for that top spot within the league.
Yeah, as slow and steady as a series could go, we are starting out exactly like that. Both teams testing the waters with this, trying to figure out what could possibly be the best play. Who's hot-handed today. We've seen a lot of that end up being what the momentum is. Of course, eyes are always on Garrett G. He's made some phenomenal plays with T. Carell in the past. I look for that duo especially. Percy has notably been quiet on Winthrop. Can he be louder today on the field? And Cumberland, of course, my eyes are almost always on Polar. He manages to find a way to impact the play, whether it be a demo or a play himself as a solo.
Polar, fantastic solo player, and has actually been putting a lot of work in North America for a good amount of time now, both in his previous squads, both in RLCS and Collegiate. He's continuously tried to replicate his form in Europe over to the North American side. T-Corel looking for a bump himself. Garrett G gonna go high. Naya go underneath as Winthrop trying to surround themselves around this Cumberland squad, flying over, seeing what they can fight for.
Contested here, a couple bumps coming through. That shot just off the mark. Another save by T-Corel and the Winthrop side. Percy can't do much more than the 50 in this one. Stalls in the corner, contested. Follow up here, Garrett G on it, but can't get farther than that. Next boost to work with, gets bumped around, but Percy wasn't ready for that bump. Still winning it forward. Winthrop now have some boost to work with. Polar the test in midfield, Nightya up first. Percy getting deflected forward. He does! Manages to find the touch. A very difficult one at that.
And you mentioned Percy being quiet. This is exactly the time that Percy can make himself known. Beautiful redirect here from Percy to give Winthrop that lead with half a game remaining.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A very difficult touch. Easily could have went way above the crossbar. Now Percy with some
my
boost right
goodness.
off. Kickoff, flip, reset, manages to push it forward. And as soon as we say someone's quiet, they indeed do step up.
I mean, is that what a caster curse is? It seems as though Polar couldn't get a read on the defensive touch, and Percy just pops off when he needs to. And that's what's dangerous about Winthrop, is that every single one of these players are stellar. Any one of them can pop off on the pitch when they need to. This one's going to go high. Garrett tries to dive for it. T-Corel is going to come in as well. Won't be able to as the defense holds for Cumberland. They're trying to stop the bleeding. They're trying to keep Winthrop at bay.
This one won't waterfall down. A good clear for Cumberland. They try to relieve that pressure. T-Corel taking his time though. Has so much boost to work with off the ceiling. Sends it up to Percy. Tries to get that double tap next. Off the back wall. Moving forward, but Garrett G, the challenge in midfield, can't fall on it. A little bit of a double commit, but all that pressure again cleared upfield for Winthrop.
Not yet. 50. T-Corel, not going to be the best touch, but he's going to have to fight for 50 in midfield. And even in comparison to our last series with this, you can see how much more careful, how much measured it is between the two. Double touch, no one's going to come in. Next, tries to keep it in play, but no fight for the midfield thus far. Great 50 from Garrett to keep it in the blue half. Won't be able to do much with it outside of that, but Winthrop firmly in control of the possession here.
Yeah, just over a minute left, and Cumberland have to do something to make themselves be notable, to be found, to just try to get pressure. This one through, and I think that's all 3 goals for Percy. That should be a hat trick.
Yeah.
Hat trick for him. He has managed to just get in the way, cut when needed, and make solid touches. And each and every time, Cumberland just hasn't had an answer for it.
You know, I think I need to rely on your caster curse a little bit more often right now. If this is how Percy's going to perform, it is another realm for him right now. Nice to see him pop off and be a proper contributing force to this team. 1 minute remaining. Good 50 though. Next, we'll go for the demo. He'll try for it, but T-Corel reads it, gets ahead of him. Still, no boost to speak of. Garrett G flying high, a lot of boost remaining. Next will know better of it. Keep former world champion at bay. 40 seconds. Not much to speak of here for Cumberland. Just a really difficult affair to get them on the board.
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of boost. They're stuck to their half right now. They have to keep saving the ball on repeat as pressure continuously keeps coming. Finally a clear, but again, Polar has no boost to work with, so he can't get that much farther than midfield. This deflection, team pass, back pass, doesn't really matter because it's still stuck on the Cumberland half. Percy still applying pressure. Garrett G still applying pressure continuously. Time has just run out for Cumberland in game number 1. Winthrop in full control of how this game is currently being played.
I mean, with how you look at Cumberland, there's no boost to speak of, still able to keep it out, but for almost the entirety of that last minute of the game, Cumberland, no resources to play with. Everyone's just trying to keep it on. That'll be a nice 0-second goal for next. Hopefully a nice mental shift going into the next game. Have some fun, at least that's what Cumberland are trying to have. Regardless, it will be a 1-0 here for Winthrop to give them the lead in this series. And Cumberland, this isn't what we're really expecting, but this was just a firm control-based game from Winthrop. There was no second for Cumberland to be able to breathe.
Yeah, I mentioned Percy being quiet because last week a lot of people, and Dean mentioned that he was the one that kind of caused their loss to Northwood. I don't think you can blame any one player in particular, but we've seen before if one player is having an off day, it's hard to make up for it at the end of the day in that regard. So it's nice to see Winthrop is kind of clicking on all cylinders. Everyone has a role, and they are executing that role as needed. Today, it's Percy being up front. It's Percy shooting on target and being accurate. And then T. Corell and Garrett G are doing well in the mid and backfield to facilitate those passes or defend very well. When you have a team that's working together as they need to be, it ends up showing on the field, and they do it in what seems to be an easy victory.
Oh, easily. And when you look at how, I mean, dude, you look at those goals from Percy. It's not as if those were, just simple one taps in. Just, I'm going to receive a pass and put it through. It's like, no, those were pretty handedly solo goals, just whatever he got. I mean, he got a fantastic redirect to open up. He got a nasty flip reset under the defense to be able to get this one going. Nightya and next, hard in thought, waiting for this next game to go up as Cumberland will try to get back into this series with game 2. Winthrop have the 1 goal or game lead in the series as we head to Forbidden Temple. Hopefully for Cumberland, a shift in favor.
Of course, eyes are on next. He was able to get that goal at the end of the game, give a little momentum to Cumberland. Can he do it again at the beginning? Puller, really great defensive stand. Ultimately being patient, Garrett G pushing, and next, again, not much boost on the side of Cumberland. As long as they can get a good clear out, maybe they can reset. But Polar, 0 boost to work with, quickly contested, and again, the pressure is already on the Cumberland half.
Yeah, immediately, so much control from the Winthrop side, preventing anyone to really give a touch at the midfield. Finally, we get to see at least something go Cumberland's way, but just as quickly as I say that, it's going to be sent down. Garrett G next, try and do some damage himself, try and get a pass off. Polar and T-Corell fighting in the midfield, but Garrett G will cut in. This is so dangerous. T-Corell's going to put a shot on and find its mark, bottom right, just outside of reach.
Yeah, beautifully placed shot by T. Corell. He not only reads the bounce off the corner that's difficult, but he places it out of Knightsia reach, who is positioned as well as he could to prepare for a shot. But since he doesn't get challenged, T. Corell has an open net essentially to work with as long as he places it correctly, and he does just yet. Showing some phenomenal fundamentals right now is Winthrop. Each and every time they make a quality touch, they make a nice shot, it's showing that they are locked in to whatever play is necessary.
I think that's kind of the key commonality. Polar, though, looking to absolutely peak. It's a good 50. One of the key commonalities you'll see with some of these older players that have a lot of time in the professional space, the one thing they can rely upon is great fundamentals. As sure, maybe the mechs might not be what they used to be, but they know the game better than anyone else. Next, though, trying to solo himself, doesn't get the 50 he wanted.
T. Corell, boost to work with, takes time, sees Polar originally try to challenge him off the ceiling and takes it low, passes it off to Garrett G, but doesn't find a way to score here just yet. Percy on the turn, tries to wave dash, get some more boosts. The fighting here, Garrett G and T. Corell both cut for that one. The 50, though, doesn't work out, at least in anybody's favor. As back out again, Winthrop manages to find a clear and manages to maintain control, at least for a little bit.
We'll be able to, getting a decent amount of boost on the board. Now he's going to set this up, but there's no one there to receive. I mean, how quickly Winthrop are able to set up the backboard defense, and especially with this hole that comes through, it's going to be off the post. Percy's there to receive, but now Cumberland, they're scrambling to try and get this out of their zone as Winthrop hovers, stalks their prey, looking to extend this lead.
Yeah, so you could see that last play there too. Garrett G did absolutely nothing fancy. He allowed the player to miss, got a nice touch up the corner to beat another player, and then won the 50 to boot. It's again that fundamental play that is just working out for them. Cumberland, I think, are expecting the max that we normally see from a lot of these other teams. They are just doing what they need to win the 50s and win control of how this game is being played. Cumberland has to adjust right now. They need to change to how Winthrop is controlling the game. They're too stuck on their half, and again, they're boost starved.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take a lesson from the previous series that we had between St. Clair and Northwood, you see how St. Clair was able to make those adaptations, force their way into the midfield, whether it's going for bumps, demos, trying to do what they can to just throw Winthrop off their game so that that control is loosened a little bit. T-Corral gets a flip reset over one. Percy, no boost to speak of. Garrett G flies in a bit too early for it, so this might some time opened up. It's going to be passed over. It's not going to be too threatening, but that's not the point. It's to at least let Winthrop let go of that control a little bit, give them some room to operate.
Yeah, this 150 is in Polar's favor. Percy must read it and does find the necessary read off the 50. The shot here, the bump comes through. It's exactly what you mentioned that needs to happen. And next finds the opportunity again for Cumberland.
Finally, Cumberland given some good fortune, an opening, but also the setup. Cumberland need to make these attempts happen as a team. They need to convert on every single opportunity, as well as create opportunities for themselves. Even look at the shots on Cumberland. You have 7 from Winthrop and then 3 from Cumberland. You need to up those numbers, buddy. Yeah, it's going to go over to Polar. This could be dangerous. Everyone from Winthrop scrambling to keep it out.
Yeah, this is what we mentioned. As soon as the wheels kind of fall off the bus for Winthrop, you see mistakes happen. It's why I mentioned last week's loss for them was sloppy. They get into some habits where they don't necessarily trust each other, which is somewhat understanding as this is their first semester playing together. But those triple commits lead to open opportunities, and Cumberland has to capitalize better whenever it happens. Garrett G, no boost on this 50 here. Next with the save. Maybe one last opportunity as time is running out. It's on the side for Cumberland. Naya in the air, saved by Garrett G. This one to touch the ground, and we get overtime in game 2.
Game 2 overtime, Cumberland. Have they made the switches that are necessary to beat this Winthrop team? To even get a game, it's the best time to do it. You get a full reset to the game, both mentally and with boost as well. Next, not able to get there quick enough, as unfortunately the boost will run out, especially losing that challenge too. This makes it very dangerous as Garrett stalks the ball. A lot of boost. He's going to be looking for Percy, going to try and get the flip reset over one, get a shot over to Percy, but Polar will be able to send it out.
Corral has some boost to work with, is quick off that ceiling, but I don't think gets the touch off his car after falling off the ceiling there. Garrett G quick to it, but Naya the bump onto him. At least that will cut off the play for a little while. Polar off to the corner, T. Corral there as well, trying to get in the way in the corner. Can't do so either. Turn for Garrett G. This one unexpected. Can he get a pass off to the center? Unfortunately, no touch found, but the boost still made.
Yeah. It was Garrett G sticking with the boost, just being there right when it spawned. It's going to be so dangerous for Cumberland going forward, as now you're a bit starved, so Naya has to buy as much time as possible. Let his teammates recover. This one's going to waterfall down. This could be beneficial towards next if he's able to get it out. Polar's going to put it up high, looking for the second touch, but Percy will be there as Cumberland test the waters a little bit, see what they can get away with.
Garrett G off towards the corner. Polar is there. The 50 trickles out to next. This one followed up by Naya. Off target, and T. Corral has boost to send it away. I would have let that ball go to Garrett G. Instead, Percy gives away the ball, and Naya has an opportunity to move forward. This one trickles out to mid. Next, trying for the double tap, maybe triple tap down to Polar. Saved by T. Corral, and still Percy to send it off towards the corner.
It's actually good, though, because Cumberland, they're making Winthrop uncomfortable. They're forcing them into these offensive scenarios, but just as I say that, a pass over to T-Corral, a double commit forced out from Cumberland. They're able to dive for it. Next, he's going to be looking for Polar. T-Corral tries to get the bump on Polar, but it does enough to keep him out of range. The transition will come through. T-Corral still has a chance. It's a bit awkward here. The shot is going to come through. Percy dives in. The double commit doesn't matter. Percy ends this one for Winthrop.
Yeah, scary couple of seconds there for Winthrop. They essentially brought the house, and Garrett G finding the bump on Polar gets the closest person to the ball away from it. That allows for the perfect shot again for Percy, who has done so well on his accuracy that he puts it where it's needed. And Winthrop, although a very close one, win it out. But it's no surprise to me that they win it out, being that they outshot their opponent 14-7. Double the amount of opportunities tends to get you that advantage in overtime.
It's really difficult to keep Winthrop at bay when especially they're able to get so much control, and once they have it, it's just a matter of time. They put so many shots on that it's suffocating. You have no room to breathe. You have no boost to actually make those saves. You're getting bumped all the time, which is essentially what happened in that last goal. You had a shot that was going on, a bump that came through. Next was even in the way from it, but it was just way too speedy to deal with. So Winthrop, after a bit of a scare, they will be going on a match point and are continuing to look like the dominant force we've seen all split long.
Yeah, Cumberland has to capitalize a little bit more. There are times where Winthrop kind of loses their concentration, gets a bit jumbled up. We saw the triple and double commits happen somewhat often, and Cumberland has to make a way to take advantage of those opportunities. They do happen rarely during the game, but it is also at the same time not something to rely on. They haven't been able to create their own opportunities themselves, so they have to find a way, whether it be bumps or demos, whether it be someone's mechanics, to open up the field of play for them just a little bit.
So we will go to match point here for Winthrop. Winthrop, who are looking to just assert themselves and bounce back after the loss to Northwood. Get to bounce back as the best team in CRL. As unfortunately, I believe it was Taco that put Northwood at number 1. So I think we may have to reconsider that after this match. Or just this week in general after Northwood's losses, unfortunately. Don't mean to call him out, sorry buddy, but it's true. With Northwood and how they're playing, Winthrop, they are continuously looking unbeatable.
Yeah, lots to consider with how League Split 1 has been going. Same thing with the Opens. So much more Collegiate Rocket League the rest of this semester. So much more that we'll get to see from both of these teams, as again, it is a slow burner game number 1. We have yet to see anybody score. We've seen them kind of pass the ball off, test the waters, try to find a hole in an opportunity. Mechanics have certainly been coming out of T. Corral, so those contested challenges have come very early on. For now, Polar trying to fit his way in. Polar has been so quiet so far this game, just waiting for him to make his opportunity known.
So quick. This might be a decent chance. Polar is going to take his time on this one. T-Crow is going to pre-jump for the challenge. Flip reset over to Nightya. Nightya can't put it on. Next, he's going to be patient. Doesn't want to dive in, overcommit, allow for the transition to come through, but like how Cumberland are playing this, they're actually being a bit speedier on these challenges. They're trying to be more proactive. This one's going to go up high. Nightya can't be there. Garrett will keep him at bay. Percy sends it down pitch. This is where boost starts to become a struggle. Finally, you'll get to see Winthrop reconnect, but that's all they're able to do is they try and refresh themselves, try and get some boost on the board. Polar tries to carry it, but not able to do much.
Yeah, he in fact gets triple committed on everyone by Winthrop,
It's
making
required.
sure that it's
Polar.
covered. Yep, absolutely. And that's something, again, to keep in mind. Whenever Winthrop has to commit the entire force, double commit here for Garrett G isn't found, but whenever Winthrop needs to triple commit their entire force, there's something that has to be open on the field. Whether it's the follow-up, whether it's some boost, you have to take advantage of that. And it just seems like Cumberland can't take their opportunity when given. T. Corral somehow comes out of nowhere with 0 boost and just pushes that one on forward.
T. Corral has really found a new form in this team. And thankfully, he was able to track this one. It would have been so easy just to let Cumberland take care of it and then play off the touch. But no, he dunks it through, able to secure the first one for Winthrop as they march on to this match point.
Garrett G also committing. Percy last back, and T. Carell low on boost. Percy was bumped, but T. Carell luckily came back even though he was low on boost. Managed to get that save. This one on target. Next last back. Garrett G staying with the play.
Wow.
Can he get the pass down? May I say he just gets the shot himself. Winthrop now up by 2.
And he needed this one too for that insurance goal, but Garrett G gets through Cumberland like a butter. Beautifully done, as he's able to give Winthrop a firm lead in this game now. Finally, Cumberland, can they match it? Can they come back in this game, in this series, or are Winthrop going to roll over them?
Oh, difficult challenge. Good thing Percy gets there in time. Garrett G
nice pass.
sends it over to T. Carell, but the shot is it on target? Missed opportunity for Winthrop. Luckily, they created a bit of a cushion for themselves. This one next falling on it. Follow up here for Nightya. His first mark on this game. One that's very needed. Cumberland racing against the clock, and the series score right now find 1.
Cumberland have 90 seconds to work with to make a statement here, to try their best to extend the series. Say, no, we are here for a reason. We have the ability. Polar looking to peak himself. Gets a decent touch on it too. There are too many Winthrop players to take care of. The 50 comes through, but no! The team bump prevents Cumberland from actually converting on that attempt. It was entirely open, but now Winthrop with the team bumps themselves. Polar wants to finish the dunk throw, and Garrett doesn't get through the last minutes of gameplay. Cumberland, so many shots of their own, but none of them find their mark.
It's not over yet. Winthrop have yet to find the clear that's needed, and they're still fighting on their side. Boost constantly being stolen. And now a demo as well to boot. Important part, can they get a shot off? This one ends up bouncing just too far away, and Polar can't get it in. Now Percy finishes forward. This saved by next. Garrett G though has boost to work with, has the 50 as well, and the bump. Now the demo, this one off the bar, but they're burning time. 25 seconds left on the clock. Cumberland maybe only has 1 or 2 last opportunities to try to take this one to overtime.
Garrett G just going to play defense as much as he needs. Looking for the shot off of Percy. Garrett G puts the nail in this one. The Unk still got it.
It's the fundamentals. That's a beautiful early flip. He reads it exactly as needed, uses the flip in advance, and puts his car where it's needed to get that goal in. A little bit crazy off of kickoff. Good thing T. Carell is there. Almost an opportunity for Cumberland. We've seen some pretty crazy last seconds of gameplay. Oh my.
Oh, had to hold my breath, but it doesn't matter. As Garrett G, Winthrop, T. Carell, and Percy will continue on winning this one 3-0, making it look like a scrim.
Yeah, impressive performance by Winthrop. I mean, I know we said the word fundamentals so many times throughout this series, but it's true. Winthrop just played the more solidly fundamental game. They didn't always have flashy moments. Granted, Percy did, especially in that game 1, gave them a lot of that momentum, the pride they needed, the confidence to play in that one, and then it just continued to follow. They won their challenges. They boost starved when needed. They continued to make their 50s. I believe every player on the team had a star-studded game. This one in particular, Garrett G showed off a little more. Yeah, it was an impressive performance throughout for Winthrop, and they showed again why they are one of the top contenders right now in CRL.
And this is just a case of Winthrop, again, using fundamentals just to be so consistent. It's not crazy individual mechanics. I mean, it's just breaking down a defense bit by bit, using full-on control, not giving your opponent space. This is a Cumberland who has been known for breaking down teams and just destroying the morale of so many different rosters throughout the course of collegiate, throughout the course of the season. But Winthrop, every single time, yes, games 2 and 3 were 1-goal games. But when you watch the overall game, you're like, this is just in Winthrop's bag. This is just suffocating.
suffocating is certainly a word to put for it. It was a very confident, cool, collected game for Winthrop, and they again almost secure their spot in being in that top half of our league split to move on forward. So impressive performance throughout. I think we've said almost everything we need to in this one. I hope Cumberland has an opportunity to bounce back a little bit, find their footing. Again, they started off really strong in league play and then managed to fall off a little bit. A lot of adjustments needed to be made for these teams that are normally doing a bit better by this time of the season.
All I can say is the young still got it, man. He's just so good, man. He's able to put a game on his back against, let me remind you, players who are still very, very good, either bubble or professional, for RLCS top 16s, whatever it might be, and he just does it all the same, regardless who it's against for this season. So I'm very excited to see where Winthrop goes from here. Cumberland, they got a bit of work to do. They got a lot of work to do with this one, and as that steam continues to peter off, will they be able to find their form? That is the question. But we're not done just yet. We have one more match remaining and an interview with our winner. So we will see you right after this break.
get the speaker box loud. We coming straight to your stereo. Go, get the speaker box loud.
Welcome back, everyone, to CRL. We have T-Corel here, kind of rhyming a little bit there, from Winthrop, now 4-1, 9+ game differential, basically locked in at this point for Split 2 as one of the top teams that we expected from the get-go, but now cementing yourselves as kind of that top squad in Collegiate Rocket League. How does it feel to be at this place?
I mean, it feels great. I mean, I just gotta sit back, let the boys work, and we'll win some games, you know?
So what a lot of people might not know of the T-Corel lore is back in the day in 2021, you used to be at Winthrop, then took a little bit of a stint at Northwood, and then had Harrisburg and some other schools out there. I mean, now seeing you back at Winthrop with this roster, is this just the team that you were dreaming for Collegiate Rocket League?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's, I mean, nothing better I can get from the teammates I have now.
So let's talk a little bit more about that specific series that we saw. So again, you know, Cumberland, they were doing like pretty decently against some of the other teams out there. They were at the top for a bit with you guys as well. But you took it in stride. Really only one game. It seemed to be a little close in that game too to go to overtime. What was the mental for you guys throughout that series to make sure you could lock in and get the 3-0 sweep?
I mean, we just knew that we're the better team, so we just play our game and we'll be good. As long as we don't make any hiccups, then we'll be fine. That's kind of the mindset.
Keep it clean as you can. Well, looking forward on towards the last couple of series you guys have remaining for you. You have Concord and you have Baylor. Concord's kind of struggled and a lot of people are expecting better things for that team. Is it just going to be business as usual for you guys?
No, actually, I don't know why they're doing so bad. I think that they're one of the best teams in CRL. I don't know how they're 0-3 or whatever they are. So it'll be a fun matchup.
So in terms of that matchup, you think it's going to be fun. Baylor, I mean, that's another team that has some other pros out there that you've had experience playing against and playing with in other iterations. What are your thoughts on like that specific roster and how you're going to face off against them as well?
I mean, I think they're very good. They play very like defensive. They rely on like Andy and Hoxer to kind of like facilitate and like do defense and then try to get counterattacks. But I mean, I think we're confident in that matchup.
So confidence seems to be key. Talk to me a little bit about your role here with Winthrop. You know, you see Garrett G, he's doing all these flashy plays. Percy also just kind of popping off as well. It seems like you're the glue for this team. Is that correct?
I guess you could say that. I don't know. I kind of just like to fill in and see whatever happens.
I gotcha. Just keeping cool, calm, and collected, it sounds like, for this as well. Well, any final thoughts for your opponents, shout-outs for your teammates? The floor is yours.
I mean, just shout out to Percy again. Best player in CRL. Keep saying it. And yeah, that's all I got.
Well, there we go. Just got to keep it short and sweet. Love to hear. Well, thank you, T-Corel. Best of luck in your next series against Concord. Let's bring the desk back in.
Thank you.
Well, we apparently have T-Corel saying that Percy is the best player in CRL, and honestly, you can make the argument because of that, Winthrop keep racking up results. They're the best team in CRL. I mean, coming into a series like that, saying Cumberland is on a decently hot streak, and then they just completely curb stomp them down the stretch. I mean, Seb, you were witnessing some of that. What are your thoughts about how high this Winthrop team can reach?
I think it's incredible just how much, not only as a team they can take control of a game, but also as individuals they can take control of a game. That game one in particular, like, was very much on Percy's back. That was a team, like, right when we look at how Percy played that game, he was able to just force all these errors from Cumberland. Same with Garrett, especially in that game 3, was able to just find these little pockets and able to make it work. I am scared of how this team plays because it's not as if, from previous seasons past, whether it's Concord or St. Clair, where it's like, oh, we got these insane mechanical plays that are just coming out all the time. No, this is a team that's like just playing really solid, fundamental Rocket League, and it's so good.
And that's really all we can expect out of these top tier teams is being able to know how good they are. But my biggest thing about Winthrop was like how they can actually piece it together chemistry wise. I feel like Vaudable, we kind of got an answer toward that. I would say total solution.
Just trusting your teammates, you know how good they are, and that's kind of what we saw there from the answers of T. Corral. He was just pretty happy. This is where he was hoping to be with his squad, and coming back to Winthrop, as I was talking about, it seems like he's just going there for a victory lap in Collegiate Rocket League with this roster. And now looking forward to the Concord series. It is true. I mean, we all expected big things about this tournament and for these teams on how they're supposed to perform, and they just haven't really lived up to where we saw them last fall, where they were the champions for it all.
And I think that's a huge thing of being able to understand like where teams are going, where we're headed with NCRL. And obviously a lot of that comes down to the fact of we have to figure out, all right, well, if we are to figure out where these teams land, you have to make sure you're coming through in the clutch. And I think right now, as we look toward our next match, our final one of the day, that's exactly the question. Concord has not recorded a victory. They are still trying to basically reverse sweep the bracket. And unfortunately, this is the team in their way. Chicks, I mean, can you ask for a worst case scenario, I suppose, for a squad?
I don't think there could be anything worse right now. I mean, I will say T. Corral respected his competition. When you had mentioned about Concord, he's also confused. Why are they not doing as well as we expect them to be? This is the same roster. It's Crisp, Helix, CMOS. We know how good they are. Why are they not doing well? So there's a lot of questions as to why they aren't. I personally haven't seen them play in their new form. I don't want to say new form because I hope them not doing well isn't their new form, but I'm curious to see what's really causing them to struggle right now. As we can tell on the other side of things, Winthrop isn't struggling at all. They had one misstep with Northwood that went to game 5, but otherwise they look like a well-oiled machine. They're doing exactly what they need to do. All of them are carrying weight at times, making good plays, showing up when they need to show up. So it's a team right now that's on top of the world against a team that is at rock bottom.
Yeah, and I think that's a little brutal to say, but at the same time, I don't disagree. I do not disagree one moment, because that is the expectation. I think if this is any other squad, or maybe just if we had a crazy upset and like a lower seed went in and they were at rock bottom, we'd say, yeah, that's exactly how you describe it. But with Concord, I think it's different because they are our fall champions. They were competitive in pretty much every single competition, even outside of CRL this semester. They're looking good. They're qualifying for all the lands we expect. They're going far in all the brackets we want. And so therefore, it is not a surprise that we're saying, if you are not taking wins in league play, you have to be able to show up in moments like this, because I think the one thing that is consistent among everything has been the chatter. We heard it from T. Corral, we've heard it from plenty of other players. Seb, Concord is still, on paper, one of the best teams we have talent-wise in all of CRL, but what does it take to actually put that together?
I mean, honestly, it is baffling. It is legitimately baffling. We knew what the recipe was for the previous season, where it was like, if you can get Helix on board, and the moment that he's able to pop off, instant win condition. You need Crisp, of course, at the time to be able to just be as aggressive as possible. But every single match, it just continuously falls apart. And I'm left kind of baffled as to, like you said, this is one of the best teams that we have on paper. RLCS caliber players coming in, just supposed to be dunking on everyone. But then the moment they actually go up against some teams, it all falls apart, and they look like they barely even qualified to be here. In fact, they did barely even qualified to be here, which is crazy. All I'm saying is my power ranking week 1 is right. Okay, Winthrop is great, and I've continuously showed it. But I'm left confused for Concord, which sucks, because this is a team that had one of the best years you could possibly ask for, and then now we're just left scratching our heads.
Yeah, and I think it's tough because we touch on Concord, and of course, going over to this other side of Winthrop, is that this is a team that I think stumbled, let's say, against Northwood, but I wouldn't really say that's a stumble. Northwood played spectacularly. I think any team is beatable because you have to be able to play good 100% of that series. And if it is a little sloppy, that's fine. Teams make mistakes, but I think ultimately Winthrop is trying to prove, yeah, no one's going to go undefeated in this league. I think even T. Krell admitted that previously, but you are expecting them to finish near the top of the table. This is not only a win that we talked about in the green room a little bit that would be able to save Concord, but from Winthrop's perspective, this is a chance to make sure they basically certify that they're not only in the safety, Chixa, but they are very much at the top of that table.
Yeah, right now you're fighting for, of course, the Scholastic prizing, for securing that spot into the next split. Differential has been everything. It doesn't mean that a bunch of teams can go, like 5-1, and then all of them are all the same, and then you're just fighting off of. There's a lot of opportunities to kind of be in that leaderboard spectrum. So hopefully Concord, rises to this occasion, but Winthrop does have momentum that they did just sweep a good opponent.
Yeah,
and
pretty good.
Yeah. So, when you're coming off a sweep win and feeling pretty confident, it's a lot to go up against in this one.
Well, you got to wonder if Concord are like wild animals when they're cornered. They're cagey. they're a little bit vicious, and we'll have to really make sure they are that way. And we'll maybe predict if they are, as we have to turn to ourselves to making actually some bold choices. That coin toss of a series, I think, is kind of gone. It's all about what you believe. Seb, we'll start with you. Concord, Winthrop, who you got?
Listen, I still have flashbacks to getting absolutely destroyed by both you and Vod about having Winthrop ahead of Concord when this team was made, and I still stand by that decision. And I think I've only been validated as this season has gone on that Winthrop are indeed one of the best teams put together in CRL. They continuously show it. And Concord are just going to have to measure up. So Winthrop is taking this one, and I'm going to say it's going to be a sweep.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
He's predicting the series score too, Vod. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, are you so bold as well?
I am not so bold this time. I think the big thing that we have to talk about specifically is stakes for both of these teams. The stakes could not be any lower for Winthrop. They pretty much clinched it. They have a +9 game differential. On the other end, this is do or die for Concord. I think this is their chance to bounce back, and if they want to make a statement, this is the time to do it. I'm going with Concord on this one. It's just a hunch. I have a feeling in my gut that they are going to bounce back this time. We've seen them be so well outside of CRL. This would be the perfect set piece for them to go and do well throughout the rest of the split and semester. If they can't, I won't be surprised, but I just have a feeling that they're going to show up big in this series.
That is the most Hail Mary prediction I think I've ever seen.
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense because this is, maybe fairy tale, but Vod, he's painting a word picture. Chixa, or do you feel like the situation right now is equally as whimsical in your mind?
I'm not going off of hunches. I'm going off of results. Winthrop has put on results. You know what? Wins kind of in their name. It seems to be all that they can do. So at this point, I'm taking Winthrop, and I think it'll be a little bit of a bloodbath. I hope it is at this point, just to prove everyone how much better they are.
Oh, that's ruthless. This is ruthless. Oh, man.
Chicks are foaming at the mouth for a Winthrop beatdown, but you know what? This was actually a prediction I went back and forth on. I made my choice in prod. I told them, let's go with that, and I have been waffling a bit in my mind because I'm of the same mind of Vod in the sense that I do think Concord needs this win so desperately, and they have been kind of picking together, but for me, the deciding factor was, are they good enough with all of that to take down Winthrop? I decided no. I'm thropping right now. I am part of the Throp Nation, as I believe that they're going to be able to take this one home. I think it will be a little bit closer. I do actually foresee this one being a bit more competitive. I think Concord, when they're on, are on another level, but at least for right now, Desk 3-1. I guess Vodable, they'll have to turn to you for their utmost moral support. And chat, I'm kind of curious about really where they're standing, and it seems like they're overwhelmingly towards Winthrop. Apparently, the clout of Garrett G just too much to ignore.
Oh my goodness.
And so, I guess as we
my
go into this one,
goodness.
then we'll have to see whether or not how they actually turn this all into a cohesive target. Because the only thing higher than the ranks in this lobby are the stakes at play. Concord looking to turn their split around. A certified must-win against the Winthrop Juggernaut. It's our finale for week 3, so chat, buckle up, and let's ride!
Last chance scenario for Concord. If they lose here, the split to secure is out of the horizon for them. 0-9 in games so far. Getting at least one will be a bigger hurdle to overcome than we probably thought was going to happen here, Chixa, for this kind of a roster.
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on in your head right now. Concord just haven't been up to CRL League play, and Winthrop just showcased themselves in form of fundamentals. I mean, if they throw this game, I would be shocked. I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of. But again, I haven't seen Concord actually play yet, so maybe they just got insanely unlucky. I don't know. But all I know is it looks like, again, the likeliness of Winthrop being very aggressive in this one will not be letting up. How that doesn't go on in, I will never know.
It seemed like they swapped sides for a second. Gary G got the ball away from it, and it was Savasu who somehow delivered it to them. So they'll just take a bow for a second, get possession back to Concord, and see where they could do from then on out. But it's right. We haven't seen Concord really perform as well as they could. They have had a lot of close one-goal game series, but again, it comes down to that game differential, the 0-9, whereas the opposite is to be true with Winthrop, where they are +9 in games. It couldn't be any different between these two squads. That's where it comes down to the stakes for these teams, Chixa. This needs to be at least a game taken by Concord, and they can try and bounce back afterwards.
Yeah, what we've seen so far from Winthrop is really solid fundamentals, good rotation, and good thought behind each and every touch. But so far, it hasn't been blowout games. They have just slowly worked their way through, steal some boosts, get a couple demos or bumps here and there, and work their way up the field. But for now, they've gotten a couple of shots. As for Concord, and thus now both teams trying to fight their way through this one. Percy down to Garrett G, and of course, a lot of eyes on Percy, who did so well in the last series in particular.
I think that's the big thing that this Concord roster is looking at as well, making sure that they can target Percy, target T. Carell, make it so that they aren't feeling as confident and comfortable as they were in the last series. I mean, if anyone was looking at it, we did see some sparks of brilliance from Cumberland. They did push it to an overtime. They could have taken that game as well if they didn't have a little bit of a traffic jam between their teammates. So now seeing the adaptations and Concord still not giving up a goal just yet, it does bode well for them, but it's not enough until they can actually score.
Yeah, unfortunately for Concord, I'm seeing a lot of just missed touches, which is unusual for any team to have, especially at this level of play. When we see a team that just isn't finding contact with the ball consecutively and kind of misplacing themselves, you can tell they're maybe a little off kilter. I can't imagine Concord not feeling the pressure, of course, at this point. You have to think about it as well in the player's perspective, that they're struggling and they don't want to be struggling either. Maybe they don't even know why they're struggling and trying to digest each and every game that they've played thus far this season. So hopefully the rebound is there. They are getting, some good pressure here and there, but for now, we've stayed at 0-0.
Yeah, this does work out decently for them if they can get the follow through. Crispy was having the angle, but a great read on the defensive end instead. So we'll bounce it back towards the midfield. Tomas has some potential. They got a connection with it, but that seems to be the case every time that Concord goes for the ball. They're actually able to connect this time. Crossbar and in for Samas.
Yeah, great touch here. They may get a demo of Winthrop, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they're not able to keep count of who's on the field. CMAS doesn't have a lot of boost, but he's positioned where he needs to be to follow up on that play, and he gets the exact contact that's needed to get that first goal. Now Concord, in a thrilling fashion, have the lead, and now almost have another shooting opportunity. This one a missed opportunity. An open net on the way through. It's up the bar, but Percy finds the finish.
Oh, anyone but Percy is what Concord have to be thinking about at this time. T-Corel took it the distance, deflected off that crossbar, but 2 defenders double committed for the ball, leaving no one available for the follow-through. This is just a classic play from Winthrop and what we come to expect at this point in time.
A lot more left, though, on the clock. Minute 30. And both teams are stuck at 1. Still a very close game nonetheless. The respect, there between these two teams. Helix is up. Didn't really get a flip. Garrett G actually missed flipping, so T-Corel on it first. Doesn't have a lot of boost to work with, but a nice flick forward. Quickly contested. Percy, 0 boost, just sends it forward as well. Will stay on it, finds the challenge. T-Corel not up quick enough. Does get a bump on Crispy. Garrett G now, can he find the read? Backboard, Percy doesn't find the finish, and now they must retreat. Rebound potential here, and Crispy just doesn't keep it close enough for the 50.
Helix playing a little bit too close for comfort at the midfield there, leaving it wide open on the back line. Crispy did get back in time. Double tap was there, but they didn't get the connection. They kind of expected a bit of an interference play by the defense, and them not going for it left it without an answer for that lead for Winthrop. They could have easily closed things out there, but instead we still have 30 seconds remaining and no team having the clear advantage, but Winthrop slowly building up that momentum.
Garrett G again stuck off the corner. T-Corel sending it away, but Crispy high just goes for the bump, does find it on Percy, but Garrett G there as well. Percy and him have boost to work with. An extra touch for Garrett. This one pops away. Percy trying to push it through. The net seemingly open. Can T-Corel slow it down? Tries to find the angle and still can't push it on forward. Think a little bit of a team bump there. Maybe one last shot, but overtime looms in game 1 and still no decision on who leads the series.
Concord has played so many overtimes at this point. They are tired of seeing it go to 0 seconds. Now they need to bounce back and get an actual win here to change their fate from the 0-9 that they have found themselves in up to this point. Again, they still have potential. They get a touch off the sidewall, but it sets up Garrett G, so it's not where they want to be sending it, into the clutches of Winthrop. They're always hastily awaiting for these touches to come towards them, and we haven't seen enough ingenuity from Concord on offense to get the clear victory in this game.
Simas up on this one. 6 saves to his name. Didn't even look at that until now. It's crazy the amount of shots that Winthrop have. 13 so far to 7. Double the amount of opportunities, and all it takes is one more for it to go on through. Garrett G to Percy. We've seen this in the previous series, and they strike again.
Oh, Simas with no boost there. Crispy going for the squishy save, and Helix boosts instead of going for the ball. That's the big thing that's been plaguing a lot of these teams, Chicksa, is that boost coordination with their teammates. We keep seeing Winthrop at the midfield stealing those 100 boost pads, and then really we haven't seen enough from Concord locking those down, conserving it as much as they can, and it ended up being the reason why they weren't able to get up to that save, because they could have gotten to it if they had boost.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they're all greedy little boost gremlins. It's because they want to do mechanical plays. They want to utilize it as much as possible and quite quickly. And not to mention, a lot of players utilize boost just to find challenges quickly in midair. It's the most important resource in this game. It's the only resource. So with them controlling the game in Winthrop and controlling that boost, they do tend to get more opportunities. Is why I started bringing up the shot count. 14 to 7, double the amount of chances to score. It tends to lead to the advantage and eventually getting that final goal that's needed.
I think the big thing here too is that compared to other teams in Collegiate Rocket League, when you look at a roster like Concord, Winthrop, they've been at all stages of competition, RLCS, now CRL. They have no nervousness, no jitters, no respect that they need to give the other teams, and that's why they're able to play the way that they did, especially with, as you mentioned, the amount of shots we saw from T-Corel, the amount that we saw from Garrett G and Percy. They just have been unstoppable, and it continues to be the case here.
Yeah, and it's not just one person. We've mentioned this a lot before too. 6 shots for T-Corel, 4 for Percy, 4 for Garrett G. All of them are getting their hand in the cookie jar, and they're having the opportunity to put on pressure upfield. It makes all of them that much harder to defend. You can't prioritize one person because there's just too much talent on that side of the field to not defend against any one of them. And it's why Concord needs to do something similar. All of them need to become that threat, that ultimate threat that you have to challenge them each and every time. Not a bad look for Concord to start. They had one shot that could have gone the way, very difficult angle at that, but nonetheless, did they just not read? Was there a bump?
mean, there's a little bit of a fake there as well that they could have gone for a touch instead, but no, I mean, Garrett G tried to see if he could redirect it. They went for the read on that play and then instead just didn't get the touch, so we do see that goal go through, and Helix and Crispy just not in the best position for the saves, and positioning has been everything for this team. Because they haven't had the positioning on offense, they haven't been able to get the follow-ups, and now on defense a couple of times they've fallen victim to just better touches from the other team.
Unfortunate misplay, and it's something that's heartbreaking. They have to think about, and unfortunately not think about any longer. They have to refocus in on this game, and that's a hard enough task to do. Crispy has some ball and space to work with, but didn't really do much from it. This waterfall down, a difficult read. CMOS's shot on target, but not strong enough to go past the defense. Get another push upfield. T. Carell on the 50, Percy on the follow-up, and thus far, Concord just stuck on their half. Finally a clear out, but only to midfield.
Yeah, just kind of stuck in their own side for a while. They did get the ball away, but it's now back into the clutches of Winthrop. And again, Percy had potential. T. Carell's going for it. There's the bump instead. Samos barely getting to it, but it was saved by the side. They didn't even get to the ball in time. So trying to see if they can get a counterattack. Helix needed more power behind that flick as well. And just kind of these half measures that we're witnessing from Concord, still not proving to be enough. They're putting some pressure on. They're doing what they can to get something onto the other side of the field. They've gotten 3 shots at least, a little bit better than we saw them in the same position last game. But apart from that, this is business as usual again for Winthrop. They're just fine to play the slow game. They have the one goal that they need to keep pressuring the defense of Concord, and they don't have to worry too much because if they win a 50-50, they'll get a goal out of it.
Yeah. Moving forward, CMOS has boost to work with. Percy waiting patiently, does get the initial touch and can't get past Crispy. Still has some boost, drops it down. Garrett G there, blocks it. And Percy, now it's some boost, just sends it into CMOS, who wins that 50. Crispy back on this one. Helix and him deciding, almost hesitating on who should go for that ball. A little bit of hesitation, of course, sometimes delaying time. Garrett G, not much boost, sends it away to Percy. Percy is demoed for his efforts. Lots of demos coming through from Concord, but they haven't been able to make much out of it just yet.
Some awkwardness for sure,
no.
especially when they go for the save there. 2 close of rotations from the side of Concord seems to be the plague for them. Percy with the initial touch, Ticarel, and then Percy with the follow through afterwards. So beautiful work by Winthrop. They strengthen their lead again, and they don't really have to keep changing too much. Counterattack wins and simple touches towards the net when the other team doesn't have boosts. They aren't having to put on as much of a show as we saw them have to do against Cumberland in the last series.
Yeah, they're able, again, to just play really solid fundamentals. I know everyone's probably tired of us, again, overusing that word, but it's truly the reason why they're winning. The follow-up on the positioning, the initial transition that works out in their favor. They're doing exactly what's needed. Unfortunately, CMOS can't get that ball to the corner where it needs to go.
It's probably the last time I'll listen to my gut in terms of predictions, Chicks, especially after witnessing the dominance that we've seen so far in this second game. It was questionable in game 1, but I think a lot of that was also a feeling out period to see exactly where Concord would stand, if it's going to be the Concord we've witnessed in other leagues or if it's going to be the Concord we've seen so far in CRL. And right now they are staring down the barrel of 0-11 with the time that's remaining, and they need to get things turned up to 11 themselves if they want to stay in this split of CRL.
Open shot here, nobody in net. CMOS, oh my goodness, if that went off target, I was just gonna put my hands up and say there's nothing left for them to do, but luckily the deflection is still even on, and with that, Concord does get one. Still plenty of time though in this one. 122, can they keep up the momentum? Can they keep making Winthrop make mistakes? You know, a lot to think about. CMOS gives the ball away, even though the loss in kickoff gave him the ball initially. I guess just wasn't prepared to take that initial touch. A demo there can maybe open up the field, but Helix doesn't fall on it. So this slow play upfield ends up costing them a lot of time, and T. Carell is able to regain control.
Yeah, decent looks from Cumberland, or Concord, excuse me, as they can do.
What a save!
That was a great save, as you mentioned, from Garrett G. Should have been a surefire goal for Concord. There's another potential chance. They still can't find the mark. Time and time again, getting denied, not just by the defense, but the woodwork. They need to lock things down. We've seen a chance like that go by the wayside in game 1, which is part of the reason they even went to overtime as well. They don't have time remaining to really come back at this point because the way that these shots are going left and right, just not in their favor. It's such a tough spot to be in for Concord.
Yeah, they haven't capitalized when needed, executed when needed. They have to find these shots and put it on in. I mean, it's not for lack of trying. They've gotten plenty at this point, like, still being outshot from the likes of Winthrop, but it doesn't really matter because what matters most is them being accurate and on target. Too many times did they not get that ball where it needed to be. Time has run out again for Concord. They drop game 2, match point now for Winthrop. What changes can they make when they're on the brink yet again of being swept?
I mean, accuracy is always a thing to talk about. They've had plenty of saves, but that's also just because Winthrop have been putting so much pressure against them. So really, at this point in time, there's only so much you can change within 60 seconds in this series, Jix. It feels like an inevitability that Winthrop will come out on top, and Concord, this is their last chance to really turn things around. They'd have to reverse sweep Winthrop, which a lot of teams even struggle to get a game or two against them, as we saw with Cumberland. So this is do or die for Concord. 0-12 is staring them down now at this point in time. And once it gets to there, there's no chance of staying in split 2 for a guarantee. You would have to at least go to the closed qualifier and hope you improve your seeding with the remaining matches that you have.
Yeah, I hope to say that they haven't given up at this point because it's a heartbreaking situation to be in. They still have to be in recovery mode. They still have to have a positive attitude. Those are all very difficult things, of course. I can say it, but that doesn't mean it's easy to speak it into existence. With the point that they're making now, they're just not getting that final push through. They're not executing to what we've seen Concord do in the past. Hopefully they settle down, take at least one game here, but Winthrop certainly have advantage, and they've continually had advantage in the series that we've seen out of them.
Well, we'll have to see what they can do at this time. Last chance scenario for Concord, and T. Carell already taking this the distance, setting up Garrett G. It does get deflected away by the defense this time. We'll see what Percy has to say about it. As T. Carell mentioned in his interview with me, that's best player in Collegiate Rocket League for a reason. But still need to see a goal come out of it. The pressure is contained, and defense holding on for now and trying to keep their boost sustained as much as possible.
A little bit of a fake. Garrett G may have been trying to get it over to Percy, but Percy now needing to challenge, getting bumped, and Garrett comes through. T. Carell also with him. A little bit of overcommit, but Helix can't get the pass on through for now. Trying to break through is Concord. This shot on the follow-up through as well, bouncing away. Garrett able to get the boost, send it over to T. Carell, who just doesn't have enough to work with. He'll follow through, win the 50, and nobody there lurking to be able to finish this through. CMOS backboard. Can Percy find the read? He does just enough of deflection to get rid of some of that offensive pressure.
Beautiful touches by Winthrop just to keep the ball ever so slightly out of the clutches of Concord, and then the passing that we've seen from them too. Percy gets the demo, then we see the pick up the middle boost pad, going for the shot on towards the net, even though they know it won't be a goal. They're just keeping that pressure going. If we had a heat map available to us at this point in time, you'd see so much of the blue field covered in orange because of how much we've seen Winthrop just on their half of the pitch the entire series. And that seems to be the biggest struggle for Concord, getting possession of the ball and keeping it out of their side. And if they can at least do that, they'll be looking a lot better.
CMOS, a great carry here, but T. Carell deflects it safely into the corner. Percy, a follow through, a pinch here. Garrett G pinching it out in front of net. T. Carell finds the shot off of it, and what a play again by Winthrop.
Yeah, not really much to worry about on this one. Percy so far back just as a contingency to see if anyone's coming forward. And we see the follow through. Garrett G with the center, Crispy with the miss, and then Samas can't get there in time either. And the awkward rotations continue to plague Concord in these plays, and that seems to be something else that they need to figure out. Not just keeping the ball on their side, but also exactly where they need to be at the right time. Percy with a great pass over the Garrett G, though, for the shot. Deflected away by Crispy that time, but it seems like so far Winthrop have been in the driver's seat, and they're not giving up the controls to anyone.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Seamus so far has recorded, I think, nearly 11 saves this series himself. And I think it's plaguing this roster that they are not getting any space upfield ever at all. Normally they do so well when they're comfortable, but in this case they are stuck on their half and they're continuously trying to save the ball and defend, and being stuck there puts them in this loop where Winthrop just keeps getting opportunities.
The competition of Collegiate Rocket League has been elevated, and Concord are seeming to be left behind so far, especially with all the sweeps that have gone on against them. Still half a game remaining, though, if they can get on the board. Ticarel not going to make that an easy possibility, though, for Concord. Midfield presence by Percy does get things away for now off the backboard. Just needs the double tap, but they aren't even able to secure that one. Felt like a surefire goal, but goes off the side.
Yeah, heartbreak right now for Concord. Just when they think they have an opportunity, it doesn't go their way. They're still pressuring here, but very well defended is Winthrop. They're managing to be where they need to be. This one upfield saved by Helix. Percy, though, able to turn on it in midfield and get it right back just where he cleared it. Bounce off. This one in midfield. Off the ceiling, a difficult read. Helix ultimately sends it away, but not much boost. Crispy, the only one picking up that 100 in midfield, does find this challenge. It's deflected away, but Garrett G now full on boost. Managing to go from one end of the field to the other, almost gets the double tap read, but it's still that pressure that keeps playing in Concord's head.
And with the time ticking down, no boost. Demo comes out on the back line. Crispy can't even do too much with it. Just every chance, every moment as the seconds tick by, it's got to be in the back of the minds of Concord. You can't even call it performance anxiety at this point because they're just not performing the entire semester. 0-3, now about to be 0-4 against Winthrop, which, yes, best team in Collegiate Rocket League currently. You were 0-9, they were +9 in game differential. Now it's going to be another mirror if things continue for these last 40 seconds.
Seamus has to carry the flip reset as well, but Garrett G, well read to deflect it off of his own backboard. T. Carell now with some boost to work with, has the flip reset, tries to send it down, but yet another save behind Concord. Total of 8 so far this game off of 11 shots from Winthrop. 2, of course, that went on in. 12 of 13 shots by Winthrop on target. That's how deadly they are. They are continuously putting it on target and when seated. Concord, your time is quickly running out. Winthrop, yet again, another phenomenal series, a confident series. They sweep 2 games today.
Winthrop are the best team in Collegiate Rocket League for a reason. Samas saying GG's in the chat before taking a bow. The mantle has changed for Collegiate Rocket League Fall. The former champions of Concord now 0-4 and 0-12 in games. Winthrop, the opposite. They are looking to rise to the challenge and prove that they are the best team, and so far they have done that with their 5-1 record. The only loss, Jixa, that this roster has is a Game 5 overtime loss to Northwood, who used to be the kings of CRL. This team has proven themselves time and time again. Now all eyes are on the rest of the scene to see how they answer back.
Yeah, a lot to think about and talk about when it comes to the teams currently at the top of CRL. We've seen Winthrop continuously do well. WVU, another team to think about, and how well we've seen them play, especially recently. There's quickly those separating themselves from the upper echelon and the regular echelon, and seeing that we expect out of them. Just a very solid game, again, by Winthrop.
And it's not necessarily like one player on Concord that is where you can pin most of the blame on. I just think it's just a fundamental coordination issue between these players. We used to see them locked in, have their play style, and things were working out so well for them before, but they seem to have fallen behind the times against the rest of the squads here in Collegiate Rocket League, who are just on the uprise. So tough spot to be in for Concord. Again, still looking for their first game victory and series victory here in Collegiate Rocket League. They have a couple more to try and come back from and see if they can change their specific rankings based on how the rest of the field does. But going into the season, Chicks, we did not predict at all that Concord would be at the bottom like this.
No, I think a lot of us are very confused on what's going on, and even the other teams are confused. They're just not playing where they need to be right now, but at least the luxury of this format is they do and they will be able to get another opportunity, even if this split doesn't work out for them. So it's time for them to really buckle down and figure things out. But I think we have both talked at length. Let's see, of course, what Danger Taco and Sevdot are feeling about this one.
I'm certainly feeling a lot of feelings, but one thing is confidence in the Winthrop game plan. It's solid. They just look super clean. They do not make mistakes. They are cleaning up on every single open net, and you can also see the respect / fear / apprehension all teams play as how many times Concord was going in. It looked like for some challenges, they would get a fake challenge thrown their way, and they just did not know how to handle it. So every player in Winthrop definitely demanding a lot of your attention. Seb, I mean, while we're watching that, you weren't necessarily distraught, but you were really just kind of in awe with me about how kind of straightforward that series tended to go.
I know, there were so many attempts where like, should have saved that, should have scored that. Like the standard stuff that we would expect a player of these calibers to be making just wasn't coming through. And it continues to just baffle me because, again, we've seen the peaks of this, but this is not the team that we've come to know and really love, right? And even against a team like this, right, it's not as if they're dismantling him in a way where they're making him look like silvers. It's just they're just not executing on a level that they need to. So it's really confusing to me. It's really unfortunate. I want to see them get better. I think we all want to see them get better. We know what that peak is, but for us, I left that, and you were in the call with me. I left it. I was baffled. I was like, what is going on here? Like, actually, what is going on here?
There's a lot to say about series like that where it's like, okay, well, yeah, we have this outplaying aspect. We have this kind of like rocky road that they're going on. But I think at the end of the day, there's just a lot of questions to answer. And not just about Concord. We're not just saying that to bully teams. There's a lot of teams that are not doing as well as maybe we anticipated them. So therefore, I think the best thing to do about that series is to learn from someone who's actually on the inside of it. We have T-Crawl on the line sitting down to talk with Seb.
Welcome back, brother. That didn't take too long.
How's it going? Long time no see, huh?
Yeah, long time no see. Just a solid 2 wins in a row. Both of them, I mean, honestly, didn't look hard for you guys.
I mean, it was just smooth sailing today. I don't know what it is. We just felt good.
Just felt good. So in terms of, I mean, CRL in general, there is so little more to ask of you guys to prove yourself. You've only lost one series, and that was in a best of 5 to Northwood.
Right.
Are you guys trying to get that run back to prove, like, literally we are unbeatable? There is no one at our level?
I mean, I don't really know who we have to prove it to. I think we just gotta play. We'll be good.
You gotta play and you'll be good. Now, there's been a lot of questions. You were talking about it before in the first game as well. Just talking about Concord, what they need to do. You said that they're a good team. You're not sure what's going on. Do you have, like, we've talked about it a bunch on the desk. Do you have any insight into what's going on with this team?
I mean, I don't really have any insight. I don't know. It's kind of hard to judge today because I feel like today we were just like playing good. So it's kind of hard to like say that they, weren't playing good, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I think that they should be beating like all the other teams outside of the top 4 though, for sure. So I don't really have any insight. I don't know.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Speaking to you as individually, we've been watching you in CRL for a while when you were previously on your previous schools. Now, it feels like to me, along with like your RLCS performance, you've come into this on the squad, and individually you look revitalized. You actually, I'm going to counter the point made previously. I've seen you score some wicked stuff. You are playing a lot better. You're playing mechanically better. is it just the teammates that's surrounding you that gives you more confidence to be better, or is it the institution, like the school, that's giving you that confidence, or what is it?
I think it's probably just like everything combined. The institution's great, teammates are great, just everything is great, you know. So I think that probably helps in terms of like the whole confidence thing. But yeah, that's what I got.
And how are you feeling compared to the other like RLCS caliber players that's in CRL?
As far as like me in particular?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm confident in myself as a player. I think that, you know, I have confidence in myself, but I kind of just like try to have trust in my teammates, and you know, they're great, obviously. So if I play good, then like we should never lose. That's what I think.
Bet. Well, at the moment, outside of the one loss, you guys are pretty much smooth sailing onto the second split. It means, you know, the fall championship is coming up. You guys are gunning for that title. Is that where you guys are thinking you're going to end up? Like, do you see anyone else seriously, legitimately seriously, as a challenge for you guys for that title?
I mean, I think if we play our game, I think we should be the number one team. I don't think there's anything that should be coming in between that. As long as I play good, then we'll be good. It's all on me, really, I think.
So no, you know, little feisty Europeans on St. Clair. No cream
I love St.
solo
Clair.
show.
I love St. Clair. I think they're one of the best teams for sure. I think they're top 3 in CRL. And I mean, anyone can beat us on the day, right? But I mean, I'm gonna have confidence in my team, and I think that we can be the best team. So.
Gonna put that in my power ranking. No one can say boo because T-Girl said it. Okay. All right, man. Congratulations on the 2-0 for today. Easy run for you, and good luck, man.
Thank you.
Actually, real quick. No, never mind. It's fine. No, it's fine. We'll move on. I was gonna say any last shouts, but we'll move on from that. Either way, what a lovely lad. Still coming in. 2 interviews in a row. Great stuff.
Yeah, and we've heard enough from him, you know, and we're probably going to hear even more than from him in the future as Winthrop continues to rack up wins, because you don't interview the losing teams. And I wish we did, but sometimes I don't think we would want to within this types of series. This one was really looking great from Winthrop from start to finish. I think Concord, again, we'll talk about them in the future, and I think they have a lot to talk about within their own camp, potentially prepping for that closed qualifier at this point. It is really dire straits for them, but if anyone's going to bring it together, it's going to be them. Winthrop, I think, being realistic, and I will say, uncharacteristically humble from a top of the table team. A lot of teams have a lot to say. T-Carl's saying like, yeah, I mean, that's the plan. We're just going to keep taking it one series at a time.
Play your own game,
you know,
man. Just
maybe that's the mentality. I mean, Vaughn, you heard it yourself. Like, do you have any doubts about this Winthrop roster anymore after those 2 back-to-back dubs?
I have 0 doubts. I didn't really have any doubts going into today as well. Again, like I said, it was my heart that I was going with in terms of Concord. I know the potential that team has, but we just have not seen it on the CRL stage, on the stage that matters the most for this roster, I'm sure, and all the rosters out there that are able to compete in it. Again, closed qualifier, there is potential, but it just leaves some lingering doubt in my mind. If you can't even get a game, how are you going to get a series against these teams who have been grinding, going through the gauntlet every single week, get through those opens? It has not been easy for those squads, so we'll have to see once it actually gets to that point in time, but I'm just curious, like, if they'll get a win, and when they do, I mean, is that going to be enough for us to get rid of our doubt for this Concord squad?
You know, I think we're all avoiding a very important question. Maybe it's just that Concord are bracket demons.
Could be.
League play format. There's no bracket.
No.
We're not
right,
actually. Or anything.
Yeah,
it's just they can't do it anywhere else. It's kind of like we used to have a joke about West Virginia only being able to play well when it's double elimination bracket. Anything else, they just can't do it. So maybe, there's a new era for everything. But at the very least, the current era of CRL, I guess, in the micro of week 3, it has come to a close. So we do have our Final 4 series here for the day, all done and dusted, and no Game 5s. We had a bunch in the previous week, but right now it's looking like this. West Virginia getting a great win against Northwood, being able to extend themselves to 4-1. St. Clair then being able to join in on that fun, making sure Northwood, for the first time in my memory, having a losing record in a continuous series type tournament, and then being able to hop onto that joy train is Winthrop not being able to share in the misery of Northwood, but instead getting 2 back-to-back sweeps, 5-1, and I believe that puts them into double digit for game differential. I mean, spectacular showing from these teams at the top of the table, and also I guess a little bit of a bumpy ride for some of those mid-table teams, Chixa.
Yeah, I think we're again seeing the separation from the upper echelon of CRL and kind of those struggling or still finding themselves in CRL. You know, I really want a Winthrop WVU run back with how both of them are currently playing. Like that's who I'm feeling right now are like the main two in my head. And as we've mentioned, St. Clair is kind of coming back as being that third right now. I mean, in fact, they've only lost to both of them, so it makes sense in that regard. So I don't know. I think it's exciting to see how teams are again getting comfortable with their new rosters. That's always our biggest question with a lot of these teams. This is the most, I think, newer players we've ever had to CRL, especially those currently in league split or in open format right now. So seeing them come into their own and being the best teams out there has been incredibly fascinating to watch.
And so therefore, if we do have these results, and that means what does that look like across the entirety of our standings? And here we are. It's magically put together by Prod on the back end. As I mentioned, Winthrop being able to launch themselves, clinching their way into top 4 with a game differential of plus 12. Meanwhile, of course, as we look across the rest of the table, still some fight left in OK Christian, Baylor, and weirdly enough, Northwood looking at that table. I mean, Seb, we look through a lot of these games and we know that there's a lot to play for. Cumberland only has one more game within their league play. I mean, they are right on that edge.
I mean, I when we started this league play and how strong of a start Cumberland had gotten onto, we thought, okay, they're sure in for top 4. They were getting fantastic wins. A bit more questions surrounding Northwood as things have moved on, especially after today. But it just goes to show that there is no room for error. If you want to get that auto qual into the second split, you truly need to prove yourself as being part of the best of the best. Cumberland are just continuously falling short. And at this moment, to say that it's going to be a race between Northwood and Cumberland is something I never thought I would say coming into this season.
It really does boggle the mind sometimes to be able to see how these teams shape up right now. Obviously, the wins records, you're saying, okay, well, if anyone could predict this, you're a little bit of a madman. Maybe not when it comes to Winthrop and West Virginia. Yes, they're in great form, but I guess the rest of the table, it is all a bit of a toss-up. So much can change within the next week, but at least for this week, we are all done for our action. So that's going to be able to wrap up our broadcast day. This obviously is how the standings stand. I have no idea what things are going to look like in the future, but at least for right now, you do have some action to look forward to in between now and then, because it is the 2v2 Open 1. You can register today. It closes on Halloween, the spooky day of October 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. November 5th kickoff at 7 Eastern. If you guys are a collegiate team, you want to sign up with some buddies from your school, open in for 2v2. It's not just the standard game mode for yourself. If you want to be able to get involved with some extracurricular fun, I mean, you join the intramurals at your school, might as well join them here, I suppose, at the intramural level. Of course, start.gg, CRL Fall Open 2v2-1, or you can just go to our Discord. You know, it's in the CCA. You know, that's where you always need to go for all the information, at least coming forward. And I do like to see that 2v2 open. I do like to see all of that, but of course, our eyes are going to be on Open 3 for 3v3. That is what's going to determine the 8 teams that are going to go into that closed qualifier, play against the bottom 4 of league play. And that will be on Wednesday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Myself, we might be doing some bracket coverage. Vaudable Seb, I know you get involved with that. Pyro J, Betbeck, all those lovely people in the collegiate scene. So tune into that as well as a school broadcast to stay informed. But until then, we'll be back in 1 week's time. Seb, going across back to me. I mean, final thoughts on today, yet another successful day of CRL action on broadcast.
I mean, every single time I'm reminded at just how unpredictable this league is. It continues to be amazing. It continues to prove why it's the best in esports, and every single time I'm left satisfied just at how much better the collegiate scene is in terms of the quality of players, the quality of matches, and they always continue to deliver.
Respectful. I think the big thing here is that the teams at the bottom of the table need to be put on notice by the other squads that are from the opens. There's no more complacency for these teams. You cannot go 0-4. You cannot be 1-3 right now. You need to show up for the remainder of the series that you have left on the docket. Oklahoma Christian, Baylor, I mean, they still are technically in the conversation for making it into the top 4. This is their time to do just that and prove themselves to be some of those top teams in the region, but we'll have to see when that happens.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Don't make your league split be a fluke. You know, show yourselves why you're here in CRL. Happy to go above 50% in predictions today. Like, it is genuinely very difficult to do that in the day and age of CRL right now. So honestly, though, keep making our jobs hard. It makes it that much more interesting. It's really nice to see how the games have been going, and I hope to see some phenomenal more games as we continue on forward through this semester.
Yeah, nothing is more boring as an analyst than getting all your predictions right and comfortably right. It's actually really fun to be able to be wrong a decent amount of times because it shows how tumultuous this scene is. So obviously the opens are coming up. That's going to determine our 8 teams that are going to be able to play in that closed qualifier in some time. So tune in on Wednesday to any of the community streams, any of the school streams, see who those teams are going to be. A lot of them are on a hot streak. They would love your support. And of course, we appreciate yours on this broadcast. That does it for week 3 of Collegiate Rocket League. We love you. Tune in 1 week's time, 1 p.m., same time, same place. And until then, have a lovely rest of your weekend, and we'll see you around.
You don't wanna see me with it. You don't wanna see me with it.